This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
It is Monday, the 26th of August, 2024. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. This is News to 6 a.m. on News Power Digital. The Prime Minister has defended the phased introduction of the new coat of arms, which would see Christopher Columbus's 3 ships replaced by the steel pan, as he slammed an Express editorial for comparing that decision to a $34 million live sports scandal. In a post to his Facebook page, Dr. Raleigh described the comparison made in the Sunday Express editorial as ridiculous. The Prime Minister opined, quote, "It is clear that, as usual, some local media and narrators have difficulty isolating, highlighting, and criticizing blatant corruption and other shortcomings of the UNC without seeming to always want to attach the P&M to these unsavory practices on every occasion." He added, "Today, I stand by the government's leadership and reject any similarity or equivalence between pushing on to a complete independence and this court confirmation of UNC mismanagement and corruption." In its editorial, the newspaper focused on the 2014 live sport fiasco, but brought the coat of arms change into the discussion to make a point about government officials spending taxpayers' money without accountability and or consequence. Central businessman Mukesh Ramsingh, son of prominent Couva businessman Nal Ramsingh, has been selected by the P&M to contest a Point-a-Pear constituency in the upcoming general election. As the P&M continues its screening in 9 constituencies that are presently represented by opposition MPs, who are all filed nominations to contest St. Augustine, Khadija Amin, Faizabad, Dr. Lakram Bodo, Point-a-Pear, David Lee, Mayara Rushton Parry, Komoto Manzanil, Dr. Rai Ragbir, Karana East, Dr. Rishad Sicharan, Shagwanis East, Vandana Mohit, Muruga Table and Michelle Benjamin, and Barataria San Juan, Saddam Hussein. In June, the P&M mandated units in 9 opposition-held areas to seek nominees and present names by August 15th with screening. The screening for 4 South areas was expected to be done last Friday. Chairman of the Trinbago Commercial Development Company Limited, also known as the Movie Town Complex, Derek Chin, says the action to repossess the Movie Town Cineplex in Port of Spain was an act of thuggery that caused great embarrassment and loss of money to him and his company. On Friday, landlord for the Port Authority, the Port of Spain Infrastructure Company Limited, sent bailiffs who descended on Movie Town at Invaders Bay to repossess the complex for what Ponisco said was $10 million in rental arrears. They also served tenant letters stating that the company had exercised its right under the head lease to take possession of the premises and rents should be remitted to the company. He said it severely impacted business on Friday evening into Saturday, where fewer people went to Movie Town. He said the C3 Cineplex in Corinth, South Trinidad did better than Port of Spain Complex, which has never happened before. He said the country was suffering from a lot of darkness in terms of crime and deterioration of family life, and Movie Town brought families together. Chin noted Movie Town employs over 1,200 people and over 2,500 are employed at entertainment and shopping complex. He said he was hopeful there would be a resolution in the courts today and there were ongoing talks in goodwill, so the levy action came as a shock to him. The shakeup continues in the Strategic Services Agency, SSA, as a further 10 employees have now been sent on administrative leave last week. The employees were attached to the Operation Security OPSET unit. The unit was established under former SSA Director Major Roger Best and was in charge of installing CCTV cameras and providing cover for agents who were on field assignments. The OPSET unit worked in conjunction with another unit established by Best, the Tactical Response Team, TRT, which was assembled between April and May 2023. These units were formed to protect members of the agency and its assets, including a $28 million mobile command unit nicknamed Mamba, and technicians employed to install CCTV cameras in key locations across the country. 10 members of the TRT team were fired from the SSA on March 23rd following a shakeup at the agency. They received 1 month's salary and a prorated gratuity payment. The former officers have been seeking legal counsel over the determination and were gearing up to sue the state since then. A design for the new headquarters for Pan Trinbago in Port of Spain has already been approved and will be built by Unicart. The budgeted cost is $100 million. This revealed by President of Pan Trinbago, Beverly Ramsey Moore, during the organization's annual Thanksgiving service at Pan Trinbago's current headquarters on the Donald Street in Port of Spain yesterday, Sunday. Ramsey Moore said it will be a 6-story structure and take the shape of a steel pan, where a museum, performance hall, and rooftop and dining hall will be all of its features. Several businesses will also be sharing the space, and offices will be rented out to government in an effort to make the headquarters into a revenue generator. The Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard assures the public none of its members were injured during an incident where intruders boarded or attempted to board a vessel in sea lots on the night of August 23rd, while personnel were conducting security duties. The Coast Guard were confronted by intruders engaged a brief exchange of gunfire before quickly fleeing the scene. The Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard is continuing to assist the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service in the investigation of the matter. Dr. Dio Kanan Sharma, 87, was remembered as a visionary who helped transform the sugarcane fields of Endeavour, Chaguanas into a site that is regarded as the foremost institution for Indian culture, the Diwali Nagar site, known as the NCIC, National Council for Indian Culture Nagar. As the hearse carrying his body pulled into the NCIC Nagar yesterday, past and present members of the organization executive lined the pathway to welcome the former president for what would be his last journey into the place he called home. Sharma, elegantly but simply dressed in a beige kurta, tunic, and turban, his coffin escorted by his family and friends and laid in front of the main stage of the Nagar. For more than 30 years, Sharma had dedicated his life to the NCIC, serving as its president and chairman for the Diwali Nagar for 22 years. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Roddy also praised the former NCIC president for his contribution to Indian culture. The Prime Minister said in a Facebook post this weekend, quote, "I extend my sincerest condolences to the family of Dr. Sharma, the East Indian community, and the nation on the passing of an iconic figure, so well deserving of the accolades heaped on him in this time of sadness." In news of the region, Jamaica's Energy Minister Darrell Vass has dismissed as fake news social media reports that oil has been discovered on Jamaica's shores. Mr. Vass said the claims are untrue and urged Jamaicans to disregard the rumors. Finally, Telegram chief executive Pavel Durov has been arrested by French police at an airport north of Paris. Mr. Durov was detained after his private jet landed at Le Bourget Airport, French media noted. According to officials, the 39-year-old billionaire was arrested under a warrant for offenses related to the popular messaging app Telegram. The investigation is reportedly about a lack of moderation, with Mr. Durov accused of failing to take steps to curb the criminal uses of Telegram. And that is news to 6 a.m. right here on News Power Digital. We'll have major news coming your way at 7 a.m. Good morning.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
It is Monday, the 26th day of August, the last week for the month of August 2024. It is the last week for the school vacation as well. I believe teachers are going out on Thursday. Orientation will take place for those going into first time into their various schools. So good morning to you all. Thank you so much. Of course, full casting this morning. We just heard from Dr. Paul Richards. We'll hear from Wendell Stephen, Richard Ragoobarsingh. We got Shane and Ruben in the mix. Of course, my name is Steve Khan. 24 degrees at Piarco International Airport, 26 at Crown Point in Tobago. The Met Office is saying today is going to have some sunshine, and it will likely be interrupted by intervals of showers over a few areas, especially from late morning as usual. There's a 40%, which is medium chance of the isolated thunderstorm activity. All right, 33, 32, the highs. Good morning to you, gentlemen.
Good morning, Steve. Good morning, Wendell. Good morning, everyone.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, all. And Good morning, Richard. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. And good morning, listeners and viewers all over the globe, especially those in Italy. Because I'm reading just now there where Wendy and James posted that Andrea Bocelli, one of my absolute favorite singers, passed away.
Really?
Did?
Yeah, I just read that from Wendy and James. I didn't know that because I'm a serious fanatic of Andrea Bocelli. As I listen to him regularly, almost every Saturday, and as a matter of fact, I mean, this is a little morbid, but his tune "Time to Say Goodbye" with Sarah Brightman. Brightman, yeah. I have asked for that to be played at my funeral. Actually, it's a beautiful, beautiful tune. He is absolutely, he's blind. He sings with his son too sometimes, but he's done
He did.
some duets with a lot of people, but his voice and his personality is so wonderful. I remember the duet he did with Ed Sheeran. It's just sad, but so condolences to his family. And of course, happy birthday to my cousin Miles Walcott, who is now an Anglican priest. Happy birthday, Miles. He's also a teacher. And also happy birthday to Anthony Joseph, aka Porter Spain. He is celebrating his birthday today.
Paul's birthday
Paul
today.
is celebrating his birthday.
Happy birthday, Paul's. Long time. I'm not seeing that, Wendell.
What's that? About Andrea Bocelli?
Yeah.
Well, I hope. I would trust Wendy and to give.
I'm seeing a lot of things saying he's dead at 64, but I'm not seeing it in any of the major outlets.
Yeah, that's why I'm looking at the major outlets. I'm not seeing it there at all. All right, that will probably come up. I'll check. We'll keep checking.
Let me see.
Good morning, everyone. Hope you have had a great weekend.
Oh, it was a busy weekend, Paul. It was a busy, busy weekend. Of course, next Saturday is our holiday, which you should really give the Friday off. We like holidays on the Power Breakfast Show.
Yeah, it's saying here that he died after falling ill.
Andrea Bocelli, an Italian
Falling downstairs. He fell downstairs.
Oh, no.
Mm-hmm.
You've heard so many people falling downstairs and passing away.
He is blind, or he was blind. That's sad.
Yeah, I'm not seeing all the major networks here. Anyway.
It's all over YouTube. A lot of videos on YouTube on it.
Okay. Of course, as I said earlier on, this is the last week of the school holiday. There's going to be traffic from next week, so enjoy your free reign right now. Free reign. Of course, it'll take a week for everybody to settle down. Because I can actually say now I can't see any issues at all. A lot of people sent us hellos this morning. Let's start with DJ Ray out in Delaware, Wendy and James, Oliver Man Warren, Slick Money Grip, got Killian Valencia, Wayne Bennett out in Covington, Georgia, Patricia McLean, out Indian Walk, Nikisha Pear out in Brazil Village, Carol Guevara out in Sugargonas, John Cato, Isasha out in London. I didn't think you're going to be up after Notting Hill Carnival this weekend. You're probably just whining in your sleep still. D. Pierre, good morning. Brent Hackshaw, David Wares, and of course, Mrs. Wares. Marcia Rock in Orlando, Alistair Hart, Gloria Gray, Bisnas Prasad, Cynthia Aaron, CG in New York, Michael Gradison, Lister Lodge, long time. Kyle Cupid. Right, so good morning to you on YouTube and on Facebook. We got Val, we got Sankofa, we got David Nelson, we got Captain Ron, who's home in Orlando, and Michael, who's probably partying as well out in London for Notting Hill Carnival.
Who will we do? We send condolences to the family of Lawrence Dupree.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Passed away on Saturday.
away this weekend, and also Dr. Deokanan Sharma,
Mm-hmm.
who was the former president of the National Council for Indian Culture, NCIC,
Yes, yeah, I see.
was laid to rest yesterday. He was 87 years old. Mr. Dupre was 89 years old, I think.
Yeah.
So condolences to both their families. Mr. Dupre, quite a polarizing figure at the end of his life, having
You know, politics. Huh?
led the
Politics.
Clico conglomerate, some 64 companies in 32 countries, to quite a crash in Trinidad and Tobago, needing the government to instill or impose $30 billion to keep it afloat or risk systemic collapse of the economy, not only in Trinidad and Tobago, but across the region.
Barbados and so on, yeah.
So he was, while he was certainly a business magnate, he was at the helm of the company when it collapsed.
A lot of these businessmen, big business, well, not a lot, I shouldn't say a lot because I don't have those statistics, but we have had a history of some of our big businessmen dabbling in politics, and that was the end of them. They came crashing down.
Well, I don't know that his demise came because of politics.
I don't know that it did either, but I can't.
His demise came because there was a fund that was not serviced properly, and allegations of financial mismanagement. So I don't know that politics was the main reason for his demise. Certainly the financial mismanagement and poor management of that particular fund and the surrounding financial elements for it, which
I didn't say the politics was the main reason for his demise. I said we have a history of some businessmen dabbling, getting involved in politics and coming crashing down.
Well,
I didn't see the politics had anything to do with it.
When business reaches a certain level, politics is inevitable.
Is it? No.
So when it reaches a certain level, politics is inevitable.
We have certain businessmen in this country who never publicly went out in the politics,
Right. And that's why I never said publicly, I said it's inevitable, whether it's behind closed doors or publicly. When a business reaches a particular stage in any country, politics is inevitable.
Okay.
And I saw an interesting quote yesterday. Once there's more than one person in the room, politics is involved at some level.
Okay.
And that's a very powerful statement. It's true. 1, 2 people in the room, it has some kind of politics going on.
I know some staying clear from it, but say what?
Speaking of politics, and this is not even clouded, I saw your party screening over the weekend after a mandate was set out, your People's National Movement Party.
Oh, you mean the People's National Movement?
Yeah.
The government of Trinidad and Tobago. That's what you mean.
Right. Your political party, the People's National Movement, screened central businessman Mukesh Ramsingh as the PNM candidate to contest point of pay against the UNC's David Lee, the incumbent.
Okay. Wouldn't
My
they have had
understanding is
more
that they
than
also
one
screening
candidate?
for St. Augustine, Faizabad, Mayaro, Kamuta Manzanilla, Caroni East, Chagonas East, Moruga Tableland, and Barataya San Juan. My understanding, the newspaper reported yesterday that the persons who may be screened for those seats include, for Barataya San Juan, Senate Vice President Dr. Muhammad Yunus Abraham, Social Development Minister Donna Cox, Police Officer Roger Muhammad, businessman Tariq Ali, and San Juan Councillor Sudbir Sagram Singh.
Okay,
who
so
withdrew.
I didn't know Sagram Singh was a
He withdrew. For St. Augustine, PNM Senator and Minister in the Office of the Attorney General, Renuka Sagram Singh Suklal, Minister Suklal
sister.
lost. Sorry?
That's the guy who withdrew in Samabara.
Okay, well, they have the same last
Renuka's brother.
right? She went up in 2020 and lost to Khadija Amin.
Yes, she did.
So, Kamuta Manzanilla, communications specialist Sabitri Singh Saunders, and procurement officer Latoya Reyes for Chaguanas East, Minister in the Ministry of Works, Senator Richie Sukai.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the only candidate there. Huh? He
Yeah.
was the only nominee there, right?
Apparently. So that over the weekend happened. And also in terms of politics, and I'm sure you'll be happy for me to open this door for you.
But you open my big door there. I'm glad as you open.
I'm going to open the door for you to opine and pontificate, where the Prime Minister, through his Facebook page, has defended the phased introduction of the new coat of arms, which will see Mr. Columbus's 3 ships replaced by the steel pan. Dr. Rowley slammed an Express editorial for integrating or comparing the decision to a $34 million life sports scandal. Dr. Rowley said he described the comparison as ridiculous. He opined, quote, "It is clear, as usual, some local media and narrators have difficulty isolating, highlighting, and criticizing blatant corruption and other shortcomings of the UNC without seeming to want to always attach the PNM to these unsavory practices on every occasion."
How could that be a comparison? I don't even know.
Well, the Express, according to the article, because I didn't read the editorial myself, said that they were focusing on 2014 live sport, but brought the coat of arms into the conversation or discussion to make a comparison or a point about government officials spending taxpayers' money without accountability and consequence. They also said that the Prime Minister should have given us a costing for this exercise, which is something we could ask this morning. Should the Prime Minister have given a general costing?
Let me
finish the potential question. Should the Prime Minister have given a potential roundabout cost for this change of coat of arms? Go ahead.
Okay, it's a fair question. But let me read this paragraph because he explains it. And I want Archbishop Jason Gordon also to listen to this paragraph too. The PNM government makes a decision. This PNM government makes a decision which specifically points out that existing supplies, let me read that over, existing supplies will be used up and the new emblem will be phased in continuously as new supplies are procured. Therefore, there is to be a period where both the old and the new will exist until the new prevails. I thought that was so easy to understand. But yet still, Archbishop Gordon and others going all over, talking about millions of dollars to be spent and money to be spent. And, oh, for crying out loud, people. The old emblem will be used along with the new emblem until the old emblem is phased out. How difficult is that to understand? I fed a post on it now. Because everybody now, and who clearly has a following and is respected.
I think it's disingenuous in mild statement to compare an act of corruption to a lack of disclosure of funding for a particular project. I think that's a stretch to integrate.
Yes, it is.
You understand? And I'm using very mild terms. I think it was quite, I understand, and I have no problem with calling for accountability and transparency particularly. And I think the Prime Minister should have said, well, this is going to cost us X, because those questions were always going to arise. How much is it going to cost us, right? And people have the right to ask those questions because it's taxpayers' money. But I think to equivocate blatant acts of corruption with a move to make a change which on face value, I don't think anyone could assign corruption to it. You understand?
Yes.
On face value is really poor form for a newspaper to do. And a major newspaper at that, quite frankly.
And need I remind you that live sport caused the firing of a government minister. It's
like saying,
let me finish. His tendering his resignation from the parliamentary seat that he represented That is what live sport caused, you know. Live sport caused a murderous, a well-oiled criminal enterprise. That's what it was. That's what it was. And you comparing that to changing the coat of arms?
Yeah,
Oh,
I think that equivocation was poor, to say the least. And the call for the transparency and accountability is fine, but to integrate a clear act of corruption in the country with something like that is really poor form. But somebody clearly have an agenda.
Yeah, well, there's no problem. And the Prime Minister responded to it.
And if you understand how editorials go in a newspaper, editorials are not benign. Editorials are this is the position of the newspaper or the company that is the company that under which the newspaper falls, right? So this is what we think.
Yes.
So it is not a benign and if it is the Sunday Express you're talking about?
Yes.
And if it's the Sunday Express, it's even more powerful because it's the biggest, as far as I understand, the readership day and the day when opinions matter because you have editorials, some major stakeholders, you know, going through. So I think it's powerful, to say the least.
I don't know. I tired responding to it. I mean, his Prime Minister must be tired.
The other big news on the weekend, of course, was on Friday morning after we came off here. The Port of Spain Infrastructure Company Limited, Pacinco, sent bailiffs to Movie Town complex and Invaders May.
Yeah, that was
To
drama.
repossess the complex for what is alleged to be $10 million owed in rent. Apparently, there's a court matter to help resolve. Movie Town founder Derek Trin got an injunction, which means business continued over the weekend, albeit at slower pace, according to him, because when people hear, well, bailiffs go on and according to Penguin Wild Place lockup, bailiff, they send them Movie Town after the $93 million tax owed some months ago. You understand? The automatic assumption was when Movie Town going through. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So
if somebody ain't paying
that's a lot of money, you know. So, you know,
if somebody wasn't paying the taxes, it stands a good reason that they would not have been paying the lease either.
Well, what is interesting to me, and I've said this before, is that Movie Town is in existence 20, 25 years. According to the report some months ago, I think the taxes were paid for the first 2 years and not a year after, from what the information said. Not so?
Yes.
Movie Town opened branches in Chaguanas, San Fernando, Guyana,
Tobago.
But you're not paying your taxes. Right? And according to this latest issue, $10 million in rent. Now, that, given the size of that complex, and depending on what the rental is, that $10 million could be 3 months in rent, or 6 months in rent.
True.
Or yeah, to be fair. $10 million in rent for that size of complex may not be a lot of time. You understand?
Well, I'm not so sure, Paul.
I don't know. Because the article didn't go on to say the duration of rental arrears.
Right.
But one could imagine that they have building in Port of Spain that is $500,000 a month.
In lease rental for I'm not too sure. If I remember how movie
It is have store in mall that is $50,000 a month, Wendell. Store in town is be $50,000 and in mall is be $50,000 a month. So it is not unthinkable.
But that's private.
The rental for a building in Port of Spain could be hundreds of thousands of dollars.
But that is private. That is when you're leasing from private. You remember they leased that from the state, you know. Remember that was a whole argument over Spectrum when William Monroe and them you know. You remember? Spectrum was down there, you know. William Monroe had plans down there with a cultural complex and whatnot. You know.
I don't know.
I'm telling you.
It is quite clearly there are financial issues associated with Movie Town. Clearly, major financial issues, right? And I'm sure COVID pandemic didn't help at all.
Yeah.
So if they were struggling before, that complex would have been locked down for almost 18 months, not so?
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I am a big fan of Movie Town. I
Me
like
too.
Movie Town.
Me too.
You understand?
Absolutely.
I like
So I
the
hope they can
concept of
resolve
it.
it because to me, in addition to the cinema complex, there's Price Smart, there's a plethora of stores and a whole restaurant section behind. So, you know, it is a significant business concern and has certainly added positively to Trinidad and Tobago's landscape over the last 20 plus years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but as I said, when you juxtapose that against expansion, which all businesses do, into other jurisdictions, one has to ask, what's going on here?
Yeah.
You know, what's going on here? When I see Pan Trinbago getting $100 million headquarters,
yes,
good for you, Beverly Ramsey. I think over the weekend was the finals. Is it? Was it the finals? Another event, marquee event, attended by the Prime Minister and other ministers of government, etc.
The music festival. Okay.
So Beverly Ramsey most certainly has revolutionized this organization.
Yep.
And certainly she has the blessing of the state, you know, in
I
doing
wonder
this.
where in Port of Spain is this new headquarters?
And Rice New Road, is it Rice New Road they said?
Is Rice New Road? Where do you
I think I remember them saying it's
post
on Rice
office
New Road.
is?
It's going to be
Oh yes,
David
where the old post
David
office.
Yeah, I
I've
think
seen
it's a 5 or 6 story building, yeah. So
yeah, the old post office is on Rice New Road. You're right. That's not a bad place.
you know,
I hope they make full use of it.
well, they said it's going to be the way it's designed, it's going to rent office space, and the statement in the paper say rent out to government. I don't know how you can rent out. Yeah. Anyway, buildings are.
That's what Beverly Ramsey Moore said.
Well, buildings in the US, because when I went to the proper way to build a building now is to get renters before, commitment before. You understand? Before you actually build. So you have, you have sustainability. Rental to government, office space, restaurant, you know, museum, performance hall, rooftop dining, etc. So basically, Pan Trinbago's headquarters will be a business venture. In addition to being the headquarters, it's not just Pan Trinbago headquarters. They're running a business, which is smart because we've called for cultural organizations to become financially independent for decades. Not so?
Yes.
So they're moving to me in the right direction once it's run properly. You know? So we see how that goes. I think
and they'll probably have
people should take some notes on Pan Trinbago, the way Pan Trinbago is evolving.
Who?
Tuco. It's not impossible. Look, we didn't think so for Pan Trinbago before Beverly Ramsey Moore took over, you know. All it might need is the right leadership. Anyway, let's open the phones.
Who's the other Tuco now?
Is it Ainsley King still?
Yeah, I think he's Ainsley King still.
Okay.
All right, so the lines are open. You give us a call, 222-8255. North Americans, 866-525-1099.
Wendell, the other question could be, do you agree with the Express changing the coat of arms with live sport?
We could ask that.
To give them the benefit of the doubt. Although I don't see how you can make that equivocation. Right,
it's a stretch.
Yeah. But the stretch is a kind word, eh?
Yeah.
Stretch is a very kind classification.
A well-oiled criminal enterprise.
You know, yesterday morning, I had course to be in the city very early. And
you don't like to hear me say that, eh?
I don't like that classification, but I like it, you know. You were suggesting.
That's what it was. That is what it was, Paul. A well-oiled
so I was in the
enterprise.
capital yesterday morning early and drove around the savannah and was awed by the majesty and beauty of the Magnificent Seven and the Queen's Park Savannah. So I drove around the savannah. It's about 5:30 in the 6, so the sun is now coming up, right? And then I drove down because I like it's a nice drive, right? You know, now you drive through people running and they like. And the Savannah is cool. And
Yes,
then I sit down.
gaping. You went for a gape.
So I
I know Zena has been at Remus. I don't know what he did.
down Cipriani Boulevard and eventually onto Rice the road and came down and then made my left onto the promenade and continued my awestruck encounter with Brian Lara's statue on the western side. It's his trademark left swing. Would that be correct, Wendell, in cricketing terms?
Yes.
Left-handed swing. You see, I know a little thing, you know.
Mhm.
And it was going good. The majestic. I actually wrote a letter to the editor after yesterday's experience. The majestic Treasury building opposite the Twin Towers, the financial complex, and going down and feeling good. Nicholas Towers wasn't bad. And then I started to go in front of Republic Bank and Royal Bank.
Oh, Lord.
And my pride started to deteriorate with the vagrants on the promenade and in front of the bank and Cipriani's statue. And then from there, it was all downhill.
And the garbage.
And caused me to write a letter to the editor, which I shall submit today, on the eve of our 62nd anniversary of independence. And the only thing that gave me a little hope in that morass of neglect and degradation heading east is the Cathedral of the Immaculate Conception and the sunlight coming over it. But before that, it was all downhill from Cipriani's statue to there.
Yeah, I know. Those,
And I asked myself,
from those banks.
this is
Terrible.
pride? This is pride?
But I
Anyway,
don't know
phone
why
line.
the banks and them allowing it.
The phone line.
Who's in charge of keeping Port of Spain clean? Or who's in charge of Port of Spain? Is it the city corporation?
What kind of question is that?
Part of the editorial, Steve went in to ask to speak to the ping pong of responsibility
Right.
between the Port of Spain City Corporation, the Ministry of Local Government, the Ministry of Planning, and whoever else should be involved
Yeah.
in fixing Independence Square.
You have
It is
to have
that
oil.
part of it is disgusting.
They're disgusting. It's real nasty.
But not only nasty, it's
Nasty.
falling apart.
Yeah, it is.
My
Potholes
question
everywhere.
too is,
The vagrants having their bath when I come to work in the morning.
But Steve, a bath would be a step up from what I saw yesterday. Try exercising bodily functions.
Yes, I see that religiously
Right.
every morning. Of
But
course, I
a
look
bath
the other
would
way.
actually be a step up. Anyway, any phone calls?
Yeah, we got one. Good morning.
Open.
Good morning, guys.
Good
Morning.
morning.
Good program as always.
Thank you.
morning.
I know when we talk about crime and of concern to us where crime is concerned, we basically like to talk about murders. But we know that there are the robberies and the rapes and so on. But the home invasion still continue. But my big question, I'm sure you all would have seen it, 12 men in a home invasion? 12?
Where's that? Where was that?
That happened somewhere, I think, maybe South Central or so. But 12 men invaded a couple's home and robbed them. 12, you know.
What about
Check it out.
Mr. Celestin, who was
Yeah.
in critical condition and robbed in Santa
you.
Cruz and assaulted and beaten and was in fighting for his life over the weekend? The founder of
Yes.
Uncle Beddo's supermarket in Santa Cruz.
Yes.
Yeah.
The victim of a home invasion and brutal beating. When they went to
Yes.
cricket score over the weekend, I forgot to give you the chance to give us. Apparently, it was
I think
cricket.
TKR made it. Not TKR. Is it TKR? It swept South Africa yesterday.
Well, West
Indies
Indies.
win. West Indies. West Indies, yes.
Yes. But that
Yeah.
those images of that Uncle Bedo invasion robbery were awful. Oh.
Yeah. I find people are so angry.
My heart
I
broke.
saw a video yesterday in Siparia where someone continuously stabbed someone. Person did not die. Then I'm watching, clearly there were some folks lying in Riverside Road in Kira by a bar. And he got stabbed. And he died. He
I
worked in
forgot
the
to share some
ministry.
good. Steve said so. I forgot to share some good news
Yeah, we need some good news. I mean,
over the
really,
weekend. I want to congratulate
good news. Here we go.
the Ministry of Health.
Oh,
and the
yes.
Ministry of Health. I went to Trinity Mall on Saturday and saw hundreds of men lining up for prostate screenings.
Hey,
The same thing happened at Long Circular Mall, and the same thing happened at C3. I have some video of it.
Yeah. I
And
don't think they expected that amount of men to come out.
recently at JSC, a lot of men lamented the fact that they didn't have opportunities for screening, and the minister was, well, the state officials, not the minister, was opining that men should come and get their screenings. And it just goes to show, build the bridge and they will come.
yeah.
And they provided the opportunity with clear communication, and hundreds of men turned out. And of course, it was a blood test screening. It wasn't the digital examination, which many men fear. And hundreds of men lined up at Trinity Mall, Long Circular Mall, and C3 for their prostate screenings. This is Trinity Mall, and I saw the minister and the CMO at Trinity Mall, but I'm sure they made the round to the other malls essentially. So this is part of the line at Trinity Mall, and that line went out way long. A lot of the men were by themselves, a lot of the men were with their wives or partners. You understand?
Long Circular Mall was the same.
Long Circular Mall was the same thing, and C3, my understanding, was also the same. So congratulations to this
You
is
know,
the Minister of Health
This is such a
and his official. Look at that line,
Yeah, I
We
was in
really didn't think they were
Mall.
expecting that drop.
which is excellent. Good.
I passed in Trinity Mall on Saturday, right, to pick up a couple things, and I was wondering what was that crowd about. So I walked up, and I ended up going upstairs, and I looked down, and I messaged my friend from Mount Hope Hospital who's listening now, and I asked her, "What is that going on at the mall?" Because I didn't have a clue. I messaged Minister Dayal and
He was there. I saw when I was there. He and the CMO were there. I didn't want to talk to them, but they were there at Trinity
Right.
Mall. Good morning,
I saw
Ragoobarsingh.
Morning,
I saw the
guys.
emblem of
Richard.
NCRHA. And
So
I messaged
congratulations to the Minister and the Ministry of Health and the health officials for that initiative over the weekend. Very, very well done.
Yeah.
We also saw this video.
This
Oh
look
gosh,
like a
yes.
skit.
No, it wasn't a skit. It was people coming, a car, a Hilux, seemingly gray Hilux was parked. These men came out and started to fire shots.
But they come out and run
Well, one
direction
wrong, the wrong
first.
direction.
When they jump out the car, get from the beginning of the video call.
It loops.
So
So
what's
this
this? Watch how this guy jump out and run the wrong way.
But they're not right to it.
Yeah. But let me just share a story with you gentlemen and listeners. I know someone that got in an accident last week. One of his sons. At the minute that they got in the accident, the guy who hit him made a telephone call. A car pulled up and they started taking a bunch of stuff out of the car, including the license plates of the vehicle. Yeah.
And then I saw this video also.
It's like, wow.
And I don't know if it is true, because the video will come up in a while, of the cycling center where apparently
The minister responded to that in Paul.
what did he say? Let me hear. What was the
The
response?
Minister of Sport, Shamfa Kojo, responded to that. It was the All Fours Association that requested and got permission to use the venue for their event. People
Okay.
made it look like if it was a gambling thing, and oh goodness.
All right, I just wanted clarity. Okay, fine, no problem.
Yeah.
I need
The
to
All
do
Fours
this.
Association.
I didn't know about that. I don't know
got
anything about that
permission.
story.
There was
Yeah.
a lot of chairs and stuff in the center of the cycling center, and there were videos floating around about there couldn't be no cycling the weekend because gambling take over and la da da la da. I wasn't sure that I asked a question.
Yeah, yeah. No, she responded to it.
Right, okay, fine. What good is
It's just mischief making by someone.
Okay, people are suggesting we shouldn't give any credence to that equivocation, but we can ask the question about whether or not the government should have given an approximate cost of changing the coat of arms. Are you in agreement with that question, or do you have another question?
Why we shouldn't give credence to the equivocation? The Prime Minister responded to it.
Would
why-
you like that? Why are you shouting at me with that tone?
No, I'm not shouting. I'm not shouting.
Change your
I'm
tone,
not shouting.
soften it.
What equivocation?
Soften it.
where the Express editorial made an equivocation in the Prime Minister's estimation that live sport corruption, well-oiled criminal enterprise with the $34 million is equivalent to the changing of the coat of arms.
But that's not exactly what they said. But they tried to they had the both in his story when the Prime Minister said that juxtaposition was poor form. I'm using mild terms. Anyway, do you have papers, Ragoobarsingh? I guess not.
Yeah, I do.
What?
Let me also congratulate Richard. You know, since Richard re-entered the stage, theater has had an uptick here. Richard himself, now he's not just writing and directing, he has gone back on stage. And that has had, I think, a marvelous effect on these theater productions. Because Lotto Madness is another classic. And Richard Ragoobarsingh real put on work in that at Lotto Madness. Marlon Lucky real put on work. He eat, he SH, he shower, and he belly. Good play, Richard. And actually, the person who I came to the play with, that was the first time she has ever. And
her name is.
Right? So well done, Richard.
Who's the individual that went with you? Maybe I know.
Miss Muhammad.
Yeah, that was the first time she attended a play?
First time she ever attended a play.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
All right, let's get in the headlines.
Yeah. But thank you, Wendell.
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
Anyway, let me get to the headlines. The Trinidad and Tobago Guardian for today. And the headline is New Home for Pan. That's the headline. Pan Trinbago gets Port of Spain venue for $100 million headquarters. So that's the main headline. And music, there's the main picture. Well, there's two pictures. There's a picture of Pan Trinbago President Beverly Ramsey Moore. And there's also a picture of music festival, and the Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Rowley, presents the Steel Band Music Festival Orchestra Championship Trophy to the Republic Bank Exodus, Julie Williams, and manager Ainsworth Mohammed at the Jean Pierre Complex, Port of Spain yesterday. So music festival champs. So there's that picture, and Beverly Ramsey Moore. New home for Pan Trinbago gets Port of Spain venue for $100 million headquarters. Police live sport probe still ongoing. On the back page of The Guardian this morning, Shepherd and Joseph hand West Indies series. And that's the front and the back of The Guardian this morning, and that's what you need to know on the front page of the Newsday this morning. And of course, today is Monday, August 26th, just in case you didn't know. Ramsey Moore gives thanks for strides made by National Instrument. Progress for Pan is the headline. Look where Pan reach is the main caption for the main picture, which is Tamar Hunt represents Valencia Secondary School's local school board in the talent category of the Laren Rive finals. And there's a picture of her playing the pan. And ships pan can be on coat of arms. So somebody saying both. Ships, pan can be on coat of arms.
That has to be Archbishop Gordon. I think he said put the ships down in the water, in the sea.
Okay. And on the back page, Windies win handsomely versus South Africa in second match. A stifling bowling seals T20 series, and Wallace wins Karen medal at World Junior Cycling. Daily Express for today. Front page. Chin hits back. Movie Town in court today over $1 million rent issue. Honoring NCIC icon is the sub-headline, and the main picture is that of paying respects. Indian High Commissioner Dr. Pradeep Singh Rajpuro pays his respects to former president of the National Council of Indian Culture, Dr. Deokanan Sharma. So that's the main picture. And Energy Ministry employee killed in Curep bar. What is that about? And that's also a subheadline on the front page. Back page and move forward. Professor Copeland supports change to coat of arms. And then the main sports story inside the Express. What a feeling. Wallace really proud of the second world champs silver. So that's it for our 3 dailies this week. Yeah. All right. Let's get the results of our morning poll that we asked you on Friday. Our question on Friday was, do you agree with Chris Hughes to fire his lawyers and represent himself? 62%, 62 said no. All right, let's get into this morning's poll. And there it is. Paul is quick on it.
Is that okay, Wendell?
I'm cool. Do you think the Express editorial, which sought to compare the changing of the coat of arms to live sport corruption, is appropriate? All right, I'm cool with that.
Yeah. So that's our poll this morning. Do you think the Express editorial, which sought to compare the changing of the coat of arms to live sport corruption, is appropriate? That's our poll. 222-TALK, 222-8255, North Americans, 866-525-1099. People on the web and the app and streaming platforms, you can send your votes via the messaging portals there. If you're watching us on M&E TV or listening to us on smart devices, you can call us. You can WhatsApp us at 318-1021. 318-1021.
Yes.
All right, so, got some votes already, so
plenty votes.
Yeah.
Richard, you're writing?
Yeah. All right. So Lyndon says yes. Brent Hackshaw says no. David Ware says no. Alistair Hart says no. Richard P. Knight, no. John Cato, no. Jean Clark, no. Gregory Boyer says no.
Yeah, he said it correct.
Yeah. Vinnie Warwood says no. Rena Boodoo Jennings, no. DL, no. Slick Money Grip, no. Robert Harper, no. Yeah, Lyndon, I got your vote before. Let's see. On WhatsApp, we have Chris Toussey saying no to the poll. We have Black Pearl, morning Black Pearl, hope all is well, says no. Captain Ron says no. Jaron Joseph says no. Roger C. Wing, yes. Okay. That's what I got there on WhatsApp. Let's go back to our stream. Oh, okay. So we got that. Beauty Culture says no. Donna Clark says no. Julia S. Batiste, no. Wayne Bennett, no. Cheryl Henry, no. Wayne Ramsey, no. Andre Renu, no. Cynthia Iran, no. Pearl Cordes, no. Okay. All right. Do you think the Express editorial, which sought to compare the changing of the coat of arms to live sport corruption, is appropriate? Yes or no? Adande Piggott, no. Morning, buddy.
Hey, no. Adande messaging.
Yeah. Oscar Daniel, no. Carol Guevara, no.
Imagine you comparing a phased introduction of a coat of arms over a period of time with a well-oiled criminal enterprise that resulted in the firing of a government minister and him resigning his parliamentary seat. That is the comparison you're making. My God.
Mrs. R, no. Robert Payne, no. Lenny James, no.
Like you guess that the play help you out this weekend, but you're firing.
My regular guest went wedding. My regular play partner went wedding. So I had to find somebody else. And I find somebody who never go up play before. So
You just minding your business, you know, like you just minding your business and smart.
I know that, Richard, and I helped him.
Only good, you know, only good.
But the play was packed to capacity.
It's a good thing I'll go play by myself.
Patricia DeFore says no.
Well, Lester, I mean, it's a fair question because the Prime Minister responded to it. Trust me. So it's a fair question.
All right, Lester, let's see. Dave goes sign. Morning, Dave. No. CPT Singh. Yes. Do you think the Express editorial, which sought to compare the changing of the coat of arms to life sport corruption, is appropriate? That's our poll. Ray Garcia. No. Ms. San Fernando says no. Esther Adams says no. Finbar Collins says no. All right, let's get those votes going. You have 3 minutes, shy of 3 minutes, to vote on our morning poll via Facebook, YouTube, WhatsApp. CJ New York says no. Anthony Tinto in Ontario, Canada says no.
Tinto, I see that a big Trini lime in Brampton there in a park, man. Huge lime, I see. Trend.
We always have a lime.
For Independence Day lime.
Sexy San Fernando says no. Ishautin Malik, no. All right. At the commentary. Do you think the Express editorial, which sought to compare the changing of the coat of arms to life sport corruption, is appropriate? Yes or no? Minute and a half again to vote before we head up to major news. Let's see. Anthony from Toronto. Morning, Anthony. No to the poll. All right. Thank you, Anthony.
I think I'm seeing in The Guardian where the dissidents, UNC dissidents, have formed their own party. Is that an accurate story? I don't know if you all saw that.
No, I didn't.
What, sorry?
The UNC dissidents, Russian Parry and the group, have formed their own party. Is that an accurate story? It's in today's Guardian.
Oh, I don't know. I have to read that. Thomas Diaz. Yes.
Yeah, it's on page 7.
Ooh. That's where they normally put Richard Plays.
You mean the one headline, disenchanted UNC members form new party?
Yes.
And who are the disenchanted UNC members they're talking about? Did they name them?
Well, the story itself, the headline itself goes on to point to an agreement has been struck to form a new third party, according to a post on Facebook. And UNC Mayor MP Russian Parry, who led the United Patriots state. Well, the story doesn't finish here. I have to actually go to the page to get the story. Let me try to find it. I mean, it's not important in the context of what we're talking about because they had nothing to do with live sport. That was other people before them. Yeah. But the time I see Philip Alexander face, I ain't reading the story. If you pick the article start off with Philip Alexander face, I ain't reading that story. It's all right. My Monday and my weekend gonna be stressed by that.
I hear you. All right. Gentlemen, let's get into our major news. A.V. Hill Bab is in.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
The Prime Minister defends the phased introduction of the new coat of arms and slams an Express editorial for comparing that decision to a $34 million live sports scandal. Central businessman Mukesh Ramsingh selected by the PNM to contest the Point-to-Pay constituency in the upcoming general election. Chairman of Movietown Complex, Derek Chin, says the action to repossess the Movietown Cineplex in Port of Spain over the weekend was an act of thuggery. The shakeup continues at the Strategic Services Agency as a further 10 employees have now been sent on administrative leave, and Pan Trinbago announces details on designs for the new headquarters. Details in a moment. This is news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. I'm Avril Sintel Bab. Good morning. The Prime Minister has defended the phased introduction of the new coat of arms, which would see Christopher Columbus' 3 ships replaced by the steel pan, as he slammed an Express editorial for comparing that decision to a $34 million live sports scandal. In a post to his Facebook page, Dr. Rowley described the comparison made in the Sunday Express editorial as ridiculous. Dr. Rowley stated that it was clear that, as usual, some local media and narrators have difficulty isolating, highlighting and criticizing blatant corruption and other shortcomings of the UNC without seeming to want to always attach the PNM to the unsavory practices on every occasion. He added, quote, "Today I stand by the government's leadership and reject any similarity or equivalence between pushing on to complete independence and this court confirmation of UNC mismanagement and corruption," end quote. In its editorial, the newspaper focused on the 2014 live sport fiasco, but brought the coat of arms change into the discussion to make a point about government officials spending taxpayer money without accountability and consequence. Central businessman Mukesh Ramsingh, son of prominent Kuva businessman Nal Ramsingh, has been selected by the PNM to contest the Point-to-Pay constituency in the upcoming general election. The PNM continues its screenings in 9 constituencies, which are presently represented by opposition MPs, who all filed nominations to contest again. In June, the PNM mandated units in 9 opposition-held areas to seek nominees and present names by August 15th with screening. The screening for 4 South areas was expected to be done last Friday. Chairman of Trinbago Commercial Development Company Limited, or Movietown Complex, Derek Chin, says the action to repossess the Movietown Cineplex in Port of Spain was an act of thuggery that caused great embarrassment and loss of money. On Friday, landlord for the Port Authority, the Port of Spain Infrastructure Company Limited, Postal, sent bailiffs who descended on Movietown at Invaders Bay to repossess the complex for what Postal said was $10 million in owed rent. They also served tenants letters stating that Postal had exercised its rights under the head lease to take possession of the premises and rents should be remitted to the company. He said it severely impacted business as on Friday evening into Saturday, there were very few patrons. He said the C3 Cineplex at Corinth in South Trinidad did better than the Port of Spain complex, which has never happened before. He said the country was suffering from a lot of darkness in terms of crime and the deterioration of family life, and Movietown brought families together. Chin noted that Movietown employs over 1,200 people and over 2,500 are employed at the entertainment and shopping complex. Chin also revealed he was hopeful there will be resolution in the courts today and said that there were ongoing talks in goodwill, so the levy action came as a shock. He added that every 5 years there are discussions about the renewal of the rental rate, and they last agreed to a $5 per square foot. As he noted, the property spans over 50,000 square feet. The shakeup continues at the Strategic Services Agency as a further 10 employees were sent on administrative leave last week. The employees were attached to the Operations Security Offset Unit. The unit was established under former SSA Director Major Roger Bass and was in charge of installing CCTV cameras and providing cover for agents when on field assignments. The Offset Unit worked in conjunction with other units established by Bass, the Tactical Response Team, and was assembled between April and May 2023. These units were formed to protect members of the agency and its assets, including a $28 million mobile command unit nicknamed Mamba and technicians employed to install CCTV cameras in key locations around the country. 10 members of the TRT were fired from SSA on March 23rd following a shakeup at the agency. They received 1 month's salary and a prorated gratuity payment. The former officers have been seeking legal counsel over their termination and were gearing up to sue the state since then. Despite allegations made, none of them have been charged with wrongdoing or misbehavior in public office. You are listening to news on Power 102 Digital to 7 o'clock. The design for the new headquarters for Pan Trinbago in Port of Spain has already been approved and will be built by Udicot. It is budgeted to cost $100 million. This was revealed by President of Pan Trinbago, Beverly Ramsey Moore, during the organization's annual Thanksgiving service at Pan Trinbago's current headquarters on Dundonald Street, Port of Spain, on Sunday. President Ramsey Moore said that it will be a 6-story structure and take the shape of a steel pan, where a museum, performance hall, and rooftop dining will be features. Several businesses will also be sharing the space, and offices will be rented out to government in an effort to make the headquarters into a revenue generator. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley, during the National Steel Band Music Festival on Sunday, revealed government had agreed to give Pan Trinbago the old Postal Service headquarters on Wrightson Road in exchange for the piece of land it had started to build on over a decade ago. Well, finally, here is weather news for the period today till midnight. Trinidad and Tobago, hot and sunny conditions will be interrupted by a few cloudy patches with showers at times. There is a medium chance of a few afternoon heavy showers or thunderstorms favoring western areas of Trinidad. Tonight will be mostly fair despite a few showers occurring after midnight. Gusty winds and street or flash flooding may occur near heavy showers and thunderstorms. You can expect a temperature high of 34 degrees Celsius at Piarco International Airport and 32 degrees Celsius at Crown Point in Tobago. Currently, the temperature is 25 degrees Celsius at Piarco and 26 at Crown Point. Recapping your headlines to 7 o'clock, the Prime Minister defends the phased introduction of the new coat of arms, slamming an Express editorial for comparing that decision to a $34 million live sports scandal. Central businessman Mukesh Ramsingh selected by the PNM to contest the Point-a-Pear constituency in the upcoming general election. Chairman of Movietown Complex Derek Chin says the action to repossess the Movietown Cineplex in Port of Spain was an act of thuggery. The shakeup continues at the Strategic Services Agency as a further 10 employees have now been sent on administrative leave, and Pan Trinbago announces details on design for the new headquarters. I'm Avril Sintel-Bab. That was news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. Look out for more news in detail at 12 noon today and an update at 8 o'clock this morning. For more details, log on to power102fm.com.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
All right. Thank you so much, Avril, for our major news. You could join her again come 8 o'clock for our news brief. Quickly taking a look at traffic leaving south, heading north. Got some volume. Couva to Sugargorn got some traffic there. And going to Trin City, just volume. And after UE, it's pretty much sailing until after swim call. All right. Eastern Main Road, just going through Aruka. You've got some traffic there. All right. Right. So let's check to see if we have any more votes. Thomas Diaz says yes. Okay, that's the only one I have. Yep, that's it. Just one more yes, Rich. Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, in terms of the poll question, of course, is: do you think the Express editorial, which sought to compare the changing of the coat of arms to live sport corruption, is appropriate? We had 46 people voting on the poll in the allotted time.
Mm-hmm.
Of the 46 people, 42 said no, and 4 said yes. 42 said no, and 4 said yes. Of course, you can continue to vote on this poll throughout the day, through our programming, and we'll give you the final results tomorrow morning, which will be Tuesday, as we begin this week, which takes us to the end of August and the non-holiday on Saturday.
Boy, the 62nd anniversary of your independence, you call it a non-holiday.
It really is a non-holiday.
I tell you, if PNM want to win the next 400 elections, say any holiday that falls on a Saturday, you'll get the Friday off. That's it. That's it, you know. I bet you will see. No talk about race then, you know. You ain't gonna hear no, that ain't no ethnic division talk there. You know. That is ethnic embracing. You embrace all the ethnicities at one time. You know, no matter what people, how people look or what they relate to. Everybody coming out and support you for that. They might find a way to criticize it, though, you know. I know some of them haters, you know. Because they don't feel that this is pandering to some group of people, you know. This change of the coat of arms, you know. They don't feel that already, you know. Such a stupidness to talk about expenditure.
Wendell, I looked at that article, the same article that you referenced, and that article doesn't make any sense to me. I'm not even sure.
No, it does not. It does not.
I'm not so sure what that article is trying to say.
I think what he named just wanted to be in the papers.
And there's some conditions that...
Paul, your mic is off, I think.
Andre is saying that the Express editorial did not compare the changing of the coat of arms to life sport, but rather the lack of accountability in government spending in both cases. Well, it's a comparison.
Exactly. Andre.
It's a comparison.
That is a comparison.
Oh. A well-oiled criminal enterprise where the government won, the Sport TT won a lawsuit against E-Beam or whatever the name was. You understand? Adolphus Daniel and them. For $30 million to be repaid. And you comparing that with what? The gradual changing of a coat of arms? A phase changing of a coat of arms? That
well,
we have
I agree with the suggestion that the announcement should have come with a sense of what it was going to cost the country. You know?
Or an explanation that it was going to be phased, because it didn't initially come with that.
Or both.
Right. You know?
Because when you and because there was no consultation before, people would have questions. And the questions in many cases are legitimate questions. Why shouldn't people ask how much it's going to cost?
So in other words, the interpretation for people, right, about this expenditure is that you immediately had to rip up all your notes, your currency with the thing, roll it up and throw it into the dustbin, and go back and buy new notes. You had to tear up your passport with the old coat of arms. You had to tear up your birth paper with your...
Wendell, I know you're being facetious, but at the end of the day, in the absence of information, people have questions. And that's because this, to my knowledge, has this ever been done before? So people have questions.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a right to have questions. They don't know what's supposed to happen. You don't know if what you have is legal tender. You don't know if anything with the old coat of arms is going to be still valid. And those are valid questions because you don't know how it's supposed to be executed because you never lived through it before.
Okay.
If you never lived through it before, you can't make assumptions.
Paul, we lived through governors of the central bank changing, you know?
Yes, we did. And people still have
I don't know if people know that signature down on the bottom right corner is of the governor of the central bank.
That
and they have to, when they change the old notes, the notes that where they signed don't go out of thing, they eventually go out. But you don't have to get rid of it because
when
you
acknowledge and when the announcement was made, you should be right to the Prime Minister's side to see all of this.
The Prime Minister was on our program August 25th last time. We should have had him back. You were supposed to work on that. I reached out to him, but I didn't get a response. But he ain't blocked me yet. But people like to make trouble, right?
And why would he block you?
Nah, he wouldn't block me. we just ain't get around to responding to me as yet. You know?
You might have things to do, you know.
Yeah, I cool with that. I know plenty of people that be sending them all kind of mischief from this program, you know. Real mischief that we making from this program, you know.
Really?
Really.
As another
I wouldn't
public,
classify this mischief, but
as another public, well, as a public announcement to our listeners and viewers, especially those of you sending mail, and I'm talking about snail mail now, abroad. If you are sending a letter abroad, you are now required to put your address on the envelope or whatever document you're sending abroad via TT Post.
outside.
Yeah, on the outside, but not only just your address, but your address with your postal code. So,
You mean the return address?
yeah, your return address with your postal code.
Where's my postal code?
So the Trinidad and Tobago Postal
where's my postal
Corporation wishes to advise members of the public that as a result of the mandatory international regulations imposed by the Universal Postal Union, all items being posted internationally now require senders to affix their return address in the S42 International Addressing Standard format when sending items. So I don't know if this is restricted to TT Post or if this includes, for example, if you're sending an item via FedEx or UPS and stuff like that. I don't know.
But I thought that was a given all the time. I didn't know that people had stopped.
No, but they're talking about your particular S42 international address, which I think is the address with your postal code on it.
What is your postal code? Where you find that?
Right.
Oh, yes, know that.
Did we ever complete that exercise?
But it goes on to say, to obtain your S42 address, kindly contact TT Post's address management team by utilizing any one of the means below: calling, and they gave the numbers, sending an email, and they gave the address, or completing our online postal code query form to get your proper address. Now, I don't know, they're stating it, and it's a TT Post notification. I don't know if it applies to anything that you're sending, as I said, whether it's FedEx, UPS, DHL, wherever, if it is that you're not required to put that proper address, or if it's just TT Post. I don't know. But
I'm saying it's available online.
But basically what they're saying is get your house in order, because of course plenty of people have not formally changed their address.
No.
I plead guilty.
Is that like your zip code?
Yes.
Your address with your zip code and stuff like that.
I still put 4 zeros or 5 zeros.
Yeah. But there is a new address because, for example, my address changed. The number, it actually changed. So it changed the numerical, it's whatever street address. My number actually changed completely. And there is a code, but I have not changed. And I've had it for a year, but I just felt like nobody was taking it on. And like it just wasn't being, it wasn't being...
They started hot and sweaty with that some years ago, and then it just phased away.
Yeah, it just phased away, yeah.
As everything.
Continue. Okay?
And apparently it seems to be ramping back up. So maybe...
Good morning, Zena. I haven't heard from you for about 5 years. What's wrong with you?
What needs to be done?
Zena.
Where I live, we have three residences with the same number. So I don't know how they're going to fix that.
Wendell, it just came up on the CNC3. You up TT, Unity's power. Disenchanted UNC members form new party. An agreement has been struck to form a new third party, according to a post on the Facebook page titled United and Proud. That's a good question. It can't be a third party if it have 5 other parties.
Exactly.
UNC. It's a euphemism. But we will see who behind this up TT.
Somebody private message me and tell me that Russian Parry. Now, folks, I cannot verify this, right? I'm making a disclaimer immediately. I cannot verify the message that I got that the dissidents are going with the NTA. I cannot verify that. So which means the dissidents going back to the UNC. That's my interpretation. Because right back there, the NTA going.
But the NTA is not a subset of the UNC.
You're asking out.
No, I saying they didn't come out of the UNC.
Where they come out from?
I think it's an amalgam of people who formerly
Where the leader of the UNC?
Some were UNC. Some may
where
be
the
UNC.
leader of the NTA was?
Some were UNC, but I never got that impression.
They didn't come out the bowels of the UNC, but they come out from somewhere.
Yeah. All right, let's grab. Got a lot of callers coming through, so let's grab a couple of them. Good morning. Hello.
Good morning. You're taking calls, Steve. I'm up the creek again this morning. you all taking calls?
Well, you're on.
You're live on air, Ms. Sampson.
All right. I have a question. The guy who is going to court for Movietown, what he going to court for? For some liars to tell him to pay $1 a month? Let him sell it to the two place he was trying to build in Guyana and what other place and pay off his bill. Another thing.
I don't mean what you're going to court for. You can go to court for whatever, if you think something unjust is happening.
What's unjust if you only...
But how you judging it already, but you don't know all the facts?
What facts? Those Mr. Biggs doesn't pay bills. My bills what is uphold Tech and everybody else. The lower class, those big people just get away with murder. I get caught for $12 already with Tech. And it have
I get away with murder. The man challenging is his entitlement to go to court.
But for
I don't
what?
understand your argument. It's your entitlement to go to court. If you don't want to pay a Tech bill and you have a problem, it's your entitlement to go to court.
That's why I have lawyers and liars. A liar will pick up that. Anyhow. The coat of arms, is it have a special time for, because I just renewed my driver's license and I was told why I didn't wait. And it have a specific time for you to renew this thing. Is that true?
I'm not certain. It's up to you when the new coat of arms comes on board. If you want it, on your driver's permit, then you go on and get a replacement. But nothing wrong with the current coat of arms on your driver's permit, because you wouldn't be qualifying for 10 years again, right, Miss Sampson? You'd probably get what a
1 year,
a 1 year or 5 year renewal.
It's 2.
2, right? Well, so the next 2 years you do it on put the new coat of arms. By then it should be.
There you go.
But what I was hearing is that it have a specific time to do this, which I find, and they should let it run out.
No, you're listening to rumors. It have no specific time. Not as far as we are aware so far.
But that is what I was saying, because with the property tax and all people who have 6 and 8 passports in a home, it shouldn't really have a specific time. That is what I was trying to find out.
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
well,
so far we have not heard of any specific time to renew anything or to
The
get
government will never give a specific time and tell people every document has to change.
Thanks, Ms. Sampson.
That would be highly ridiculous.
I am glad
It will just be a transition as to whenever your documents, whatever they are, need renewal, you renew them.
Yeah.
Right. That is what I was saying, because, people looking to bash Dr. Rowley, that would have been another really, if he put a specific time. So I'm glad it is.
Well, I and all will bash him if they announce that.
Yes. When you go in, when your document expires, when you go in, then you get the new one. Good.
Right.
That is what I want to clarify. You all have a good day.
Thanks, Ms. Sampson.
All right, thank you.
Bye-bye. You got Paul there for me.
Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
I'm seeing a new, well, it's not a new trend, eh? I saw it happen, I think, 3 or 4 years ago, where these monsters dug up a body and set it on fire. I think it was somewhere in Central.
In Grandi, Sangre Grandi.
Grandi.
No, nothing. What happened this time? Before this hearing, where Overshiti Wari read the news saying the police say first time the thing. No, they don't have the record straight. That happened before. What happened in Grandi over last week there? That happened before. They up a body and burn it. So I said the person get buried and now they come and they get cremated. What the hell it is going on with these monsters? What the hell going on with them, boy? All you done kill the man. All you gone out to dig up his body and...
Well, according to information that a couple of the newspapers carried, is that this individual was involved in an incident where he allegedly used a 6-year-old child as a shield and pretended to be dead. And then, so the assailants wanted to make sure he was dead apparently this time, so they dig up the body and burn it again.
Really? Because when I saw the incident, I say, wait, this man, was he raped somebody's child? You know, I started thinking what heinous crime he could have done. But Lord have mercy. Anyway, that is madness. The police, you know, I don't know, nah? All your boroughs, like, all you need to talk to the police them again. Because, like, they take a rest now. They need to continue what they did last week. I spoke to a friend of mine in Germany over the weekend, and she's telling me, she said, she's occurred with what's going on in Trinidad, and she said, oh, you're serious down there? She said, the national instrument going to be put on all your coat of arms. She said, and that is an issue? She said, nah. She said, in the first place, Hitler picture, anything concerning Hitler, where they have never gone on anything national. I say, well, girl, I say, that is why I just keep saying, Tallinn need to rewrite that calypso he write about we might, not Tallinn, Hilon Francis. We are mighty now, we jokey, you know, when that German woman started to talk, I say, Lord have mercy, imagine that. That German woman can't understand why we making an issue removing them 3 ships. I say, girl, I said, well, it feel like they love what the 3 ships, who the 3 ships brought and what they did to the people that they brought. I said, that is all I could say. Because when you hearing people, I mean, I listen to Shabaka Kabon. Well, I mean, it's unbelievable.
Miss Diego Martin, this is Miss Diego Martin.
That's Trini. Yes, sir.
But last week, former beauty queen told us that she doesn't know anybody who the 3 ships personally offended or victimized.
Victimized.
Total madness. Anyway, I will end this by saying what Beverly Ramsey Moss said on the news last night. She said, let we have a shootout with the Pan and the Tassa. Let me see who could play the national anthem.
Oh God, she didn't say that.
What you said?
Beverly said that?
Yes. Go back on. Both stations carried it.
Ramsey Moss hot, you know. I think what is this? Ramsey Moss hot, you know.
She was sitting next to Dr. Rowley in the Jean Pierre complex in the finals. And when she went up on the stage, she said, you see this? She said, I don't want to get involved in this dotish talk going on with the Pan. She said, all I will say, let the Pan, the steel Pan, and the Tassa have a shootout playing the national instrument. She said, that is all I will say. When she said that, I say, well said, Beverly Ramsey Moore. You all have a blessed day.
All right. Did you all see the story about 10 more people got fired from the SSA over the weekend?
They were sent on administrative leave. Please be precise.
Is that what they said? I saw fired.
Good morning.
I stand corrected.
That comparison to live sport and the coat of arms, by the stretch of my imagination, I mean, I can't see no way how that could connect. I try all out to see how that could connect. There is something behind that editor something about that editor, that publisher, that he's trying to do or something. I can't understand. That is so far from reality. And this thing with NTA, we're talking about Wendell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you see, you have to remember the NTA. Look at who is the leader of NTA. 1 minute, the leader of the party was never used to attend parliament. He mentioned all kind of different inconsistencies with her. Then suddenly he hold hands and raise and grinning. When you listen to this man with this NTA party, and he begins to talk about what happened in the country and whatnot, all you hear from this man is attacking. He attacked everybody in the country. He saw as though a person who is out for serious vengeance. If you listen to him properly, there's nothing with this man that is really country, that is really for all he's talking as though a person trying to get even and trying to make Dr. Rowley look bad. Listen to him well. So the NTA to the UNC, according to Wendell, then come from the bowels of the UNC, but through him, that is where the link is. Because he will do anything right now, anything to get back vengeance against the PNM. Putting this man back in, if this man get in office, God help this country.
So you're saying that he does not have the interests of Trinidad and Tobago at heart?
No, he don't.
He doesn't care about the country, and you came to this assumption. Why? Because he's criticizing the PNM consistently.
No, right? No, listen to me. To do like the editor. No, not because he's criticizing. It's his tone, his utterances, the things that he would say. Okay, for example, Mr.
So what utterance has he said that shows that he does not want the best for Trinidad and Tobago or is in favor of a better Trinidad and Tobago? Give me a post where he said that.
All right. No, he didn't say that in words when he said he don't want that better.
So you are making assumptions and speculation on what he said. It's your
interpretation.
You're in court now, you know. I don't know if you know that. You entered the courtroom, you know.
I know everybody.
You're making in other words, you're giving an interpretation, a liberal interpretation through the lens in which you see it, and you're espousing that interpretation. That's what you're doing. Because you just say you couldn't give. I asked you. You were saying something where a citizen of this country is unpatriotic. That's basically what you're saying. And I'm saying, could you provide evidence of that? And you're saying, well, there is no real evidence of it, but.
No. You're putting words in the mouth. What I'm saying is.
You're not putting words in his mouth.
When I say his utterances, okay, let me give you an example. When this man is teaching, is talking about the Prime Minister. Listen what he talk about. He talk about the Prime Minister clothes. He is very disrespectful in making utterances to them. Very, very disrespectful. The other thing, the party that he criticized so much and had all these different things, and then 1 minute the leader of the opposition is one of the worst things for him. Then the next minute you hold in hand and where's your loyalty? What you really stand for?
So then, according to Richard, I think Richard is trying to ask you, where do his issues with either the PNM or the UNC leader translate, in your opinion, to not wanting the best of Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, right. Paul, I think that's better. The way he poses his question.
But you haven't answered the question. He may have a difference of opinion as to the leadership of Dr. Rowley or Mrs. Postal Bissessa, but how does that translate to him not wanting the best of Trinidad and Tobago? You may not agree with his approach for the best of Trinidad and Tobago, but that doesn't necessarily translate to him being unpatriotic is what Richard is saying.
Yeah,
And Richard,
yeah.
I think Richard is right.
Caller, let me help you. Gary Griffith gets petty and personal insofar as people are concerned, but I think honestly he wants the best for the country
In his own way.
Yeah,
in his own way.
Yeah. He
So
gets
the
petty and
connection that you
personal.
made, caller,
Yeah.
about being unpatriotic, Richard's classification, because you feel he has issues with Dr. Rowley and with the PNM, and at one point Mrs. Pasabi says, it's really, you haven't provided the evidence for that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me put it this way then. In my opinion, the things that he's saying is not really genuine. His thing is to get back, to get back at.
This is now you've evolved your statement into an opinion.
Well, boy, I don't know if I'm in a court here or I may not.
Yeah, of course you're in a court. You didn't know that?
I may not be able to go in the wood sleuth or to be able to.
No, but when, you see what we are supposed to do here, and I appreciate
I'm not a public
sharing
speaker.
your opinion.
I'm not a public speaker, and I know all your fellas.
But you're doing all right. But if someone is not here, you're making a statement about someone and they're not here to defend themselves, we have to in part provide that service for the person because Mr. Griffith is not here to defend himself. So if you're making a statement about being unpatriotic, you better be able to substantiate it.
That I accept, but I totally stand by what I said because when a gentleman would I remember you all had a pool a morning and 23 people. Listen to me. 20 the level this man supposed to be at. 23 people that voted for in favor at the poll, which was opposite to what he criticized the 20 months at that time.
And there are many other polls where the vast majority of respondents praise Mr. Griffith for his work as Commissioner of Police. So you can't cherry pick either.
No, I ain't talking about the people who praise him, I'm talking about what he did with the 23 people okay, people praise him. And why he didn't praise the people who had a different opinion.
Caller,
that was clearly
you are both right and wrong about that.
Watchman. When I listen to the Watchman, I understand. I think he might be a better man to put. I hear Mr. Watchman on and off on all your program. That's why I was asking him, on and off all your program. And if only have a different opinion. But gentlemen,
thank you for the discourse.
Richard, I know you want to bust my throat there.
Not at all.
No,
I challenge you.
I
don't mean maliciously. But I know you want to.
All right, thank you, caller.
All right, but that's my opinion, right?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
I do.
All right, thank you.
I do think
you can't accuse somebody of doing something and then do the very same thing to that person. You understand?
Thank you, caller.
I still believe that Gary Griffith was the best of the commissioners of police we have had for a long time. Regardless of how certain things went under him, I don't think it was worse, or I don't think it was worse than any other commissioner of police. I think if he just hush up and do the work, he would have still been there and we would not have been in the situation we're in now. That's my personal opinion. People may disagree with that. But he just needed to hush and work. He talked himself into a job and then talked himself out of that job.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Good morning, sir. I agree with Wendell. I agree on you. Mr. Gary Griffith, to me, is the best person to hold that position. He is a person, what I like, he's sketchy sometimes, but what I love about him, exactly what you see is what you get. He's not afraid to speak up. And people mustn't judge a person like that because he wants to speak up and say what he believes is right and what's wrong. But nobody can tell me or convince me that Gary Griffith is not for the country. He is for the country. He's the one, no matter what they do to him, he's still fighting. Even though they throw him out, he's still concerned. He wants to do something to curb this situation. So I think it's unfair to say because he's this way or that way, and he makes noise or he's a bit petty, to say he doesn't care. He does care. I think he's the best person for commission. I honestly believe that. The only problem, he needs to shut up a little bit. That's it. I agree with you on Wendell. That's it. Gentlemen, have a great week.
All right, Captain Ron, take care. You still in Colorado?
He's in Orlando this morning.
Are you back home?
Yeah, he is. Good morning, caller. Good morning.
Good morning. First of all, Wendell, well, I don't know if it applies to all areas, but my zip code is 6 digits, not 5.
Oh.
So I would assume most in Trinidad and Tobago will be 6 digits.
Yeah, it'll be 6 digits. You're right, it's 6 digits.
Go to your post office and ask them, give them your address, and they would tell you your zip code.
And they will tell you your new address, because sometimes it's not just his zip
Yes,
code.
my number changed as well too. So when Steve's Richard, you're absolutely right. My house number changed as well. Richard, I have a personal question to ask you. Have you have the Prime Minister or the opposition leader ever attended one of your plays?
The Prime Minister, yeah, the Prime Minister has attended, Dr. Raleigh.
Yeah, and the opposition leader, Mrs. Bissell.
I'm not so sure if Kamala Bissell has. Maybe she has. I'm not sure.
Yeah, you had told us, Richard, that
there was a time the two prime ministers were in the audience, but that was Patrick Manning and Basdeo Pandey.
Oh, okay.
At the same time?
Both of them were in the theater at the same time.
Wow, how did you feel for that? When you found out after, you didn't know why the play was going on.
Well, no, you knew why the play was going on because the play was a play called The Prime Minister's Speech. And at the end of it, the actress who was the Prime Minister comes through the audience with security, etc., to head to the stage to make a speech as part of the play. So it's called the Prime Minister's Speech, but the Prime Minister actually comes in at the end of the play to make this speech. And of course, there's much fanfare and security clearing people, and the Prime Minister comes in. And when she came in as the Prime Minister, the theater was astute enough that they swung the spotlights to Patrick Manning and Basdeo Pandey, and she shook their hands. And of course, the crowd was in an uproar because
that's very interesting.
Yeah.
I just wanted to find out that from you. One thing about the live sport, the comparison that the Express made. I know for a fact that at least maybe a dozen people, maybe more, were murdered and all related to live sport. I wonder how much people are going to be killed from the transition from the 3 ships to the Pan. I know how much people are going to lose.
Lincoln, live sport was a well-oiled criminal enterprise. It resulted in a minister being fired. It resulted in a PS being removed. It resulted in a woman running from that ministry and migrated and never heard of again. And it resulted in the member of parliament resigning his seat.
Yep, that is all well and good, but when all those people are alive still, it resulted in at least a dozen people not being here today. That is more. We see the life preservation of life. That's the most important thing to me.
And that information, Lincoln, is available where?
That people were killed from life sport, that related to life sport. Yeah. It's public information, Paul.
Can you point me to the direction to it? Just for my own.
I wouldn't be able to do that now. But there's a lot of evidence.
Could you research it and do it for me tomorrow, please?
Lincoln, research it and send it for him.
Am I wrong, Wendell? Am I making this up?
Notice I stay away from that angle, right? Because
I'm not saying making it up. I'm saying for my own record, so I could have the evidence to support it if I say it in the public domain.
I know there are certain people who are listening who are going to send the information for me, and then I'll send it to you.
Can you just share it with me, please? Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, then, Paul. Have a good day.
Good morning.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Paul is our next person who wants what's best for this country at the end of the day. Trust me.
Good morning.
Hi, morning.
Morning.
On a different note, I just calling to thank the driver of PC 87488, Mr. Pan in guiding us. I want to thank him on behalf of my husband and myself and my grandchildren and guiding us out at Tabatit on Friday. We went to Harry's and left there a little too much in the dark and kind of was a little confused coming out. And this gentleman pulled alongside us, in this day and age, you're thinking, is it wise? He said, like, what are you trying to get out? Follow me. Right? A female in the front, so,
Very good.
got a little relaxed. And he did guide us out, right? At one point, he stopped at a supermarket and we went in, we swinging behind him. Then that's only when we see exactly who he was. And I just want to thank him, and I just want Trinidad and Tobago to know there's still good people out here. You understand? Because anything can happen. Right? His number is PC 87488, Mr. Padmore.
Good morning, Mr. Padua. Good job.
Morning, Mr. Padua. Well done.
What we're going to try to do, because of the questions that have arisen this morning, is try to get an official from TT Post on before the end of the week.
Yeah.
To talk about the area code system and how people can access it and what this new requirement in the US means for people shipping or mailing stuff.
Well, we could talk to Minister Gonzalez too. We haven't spoken to him for a little while. We always talk to him about WASA, but TT Post is under his ambit, not so?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's true.
So we could try him also. But I agree with the official from TT Post, who we had in some years ago in studio, and that's when this whole issue of the postcodes came up, and they were kind of pushing it like if it was.
Wendell, I remember about 9 years ago doing interviews with people from TT Post pushing this new code and get yourself an order. Yeah. I think, and then it just
on the program.
Yeah,
we had that. We had the program.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. All right, let's grab some more calls. Good morning.
Good morning, Steve.
Morning, sweetbread.
Hi, good morning, Uncle Paul. Sorry, Dr.
Good morning. Paul. That's all right.
And Richard, good morning. I have to go to the UK. And Wendell, good morning.
Good morning, Ms. Davy.
Before I make a comment, I just want to send condolences to one of the guys, one of the persons yesterday in Aruka. He was one of my customers as well. Young man with a 2-year-old daughter. He works PH on the road, and from what we were told, somebody hired him to do the job and he refused. That's what we heard. So, when I saw his car crash against a wall, I thought he'd kind of fall asleep and run into a wall. But when I went further down, my brother told me my brother was near to him. My brother said somebody hired him to do a job and he refused, and they shot him and killed him.
What?
And when I saw the car, his body was in the car. But I didn't think it was a murder. I think it was an accident now. And because there was only one police vehicle there. It had just happened when I passed. So these fellas out there, they just want what is yours, and if you don't give it to them, you will be dead. So he has left a 2-year-old child without a father. That is so that this is becoming prevalent more and more and more. Anyway, so this thing with this coat of arms still going on and on. Well, I thought one time we were 9-day wonder, so this is the second week. That is more than 10 days.
I keep telling you all don't realize how astute a politician Dr. Rowley is. You know what he put out there when? you think he didn't know this would have sucked all the oxygen out of the system for 2 weeks?
But Carl Cupid said it perfectly early on.
you all really feel somebody who in politics. How long is he in politics, Wendell?
40
just over 40 years.
40-something years.
Yeah.
The last 9 being as prime minister.
Mm-hmm.
4 before that, or 3 before that as leader of the opposition. That's so?
Yes.
And
Yes, he went
you
easy.
really feel that Dr. Rowley didn't know when he stood up in a PNM special convention and made this announcement, it would have all kind of noise coming out of it?
Yeah, of course he knows.
I think that was the whole idea to have that.
You know what rankled him though? That live sports story. He don't forget live sports, So that the Express editorial making that equivalency yesterday.
Wendell,
That
how can you
rankled him.
forget? You are very, very astute at reminding him regularly.
And that's why was a big fight comment.
When he turns on TV anymore, so let's see what Richard, Wendell, Stephen, Paul are saying this morning. I mean, oh God, I forget life for Wendell. Just remind me.
I read that editorial.
He said, Mrs. Rowley, could you turn the TV on METV and Facebook? Let me see them for the same this morning. What I have to deal with the press conference on Thursday?
Before Ms. Dabadi go, Ms. Dabadi, I'll give you a chance to finish. But Mrs. Rowley was featured in Lotto Madness, walking a dog, a Rottweiler in Goodwood Park.
No. Absolutely. I would never believe that. No.
I laugh for so the whole audience crack up.
Richard?
Well, I Lotto Madness. So, when I read that editorial, it's only last night I read Dr. Rowley's comment on his Facebook. When I read that editorial yesterday, I said, oh, she's on. This is an next bacchanal going on group. If Dr. Rowley saw what I changed my name.
Yes. Watch me. Like Dr. Rowley, the Express is here about 100 years. Them sell some papers.
True, eh?
Yeah.
They sell some papers. You feel the circulation for Sunday and Monday going up. Because they have to respond by Tuesday and Wednesday. So the circulation is going to go up. Right. Yes. It's Montaigne, It's Montaigne.
When I read what Dr. Rowley said, I said, oh Lord, next thing starts again. And even though the Express had a story last week concerning the professor, do you remember the professor from the historian who said talk about the Sasha?
Dr. Jerome.
The Express and he asked them to apologize. You saw any apology? I didn't see anything, and I know nothing coming. So I want to ask the apology. What next? If there's no apology, what next?
Ms. Dabadi, you notice the opposition gone quiet on the door because they know very well that is going to rub people the wrong way if they continue with that nonsense.
And she said when she possibly was ethnic divisions. I don't know where she talking about her.
But they've gone very quiet. Notice,
Yeah. But I like how the Pan Trinbago president said yesterday. And I was surprised she said she's not getting involved. She said only nobody dragging me into this mess. But yet still saying she wants to shoot out with the Tata and International Steel Orchestra, Pan, to see who could play the national anthem. And she didn't want to get involved. Why must she say a thing like that to stop and next step of trouble? Like we work hard.
I thought it used to be Bacchanal Wednesday, but like it's Bacchanal Monday.
Yeah.
Monday, look. Well,
All right.
You have a good day.
Thank you. All the best.
Have a wonderful week. Happy Independence, everyone.
It's Lotto Madness Monday.
Yeah.
Richard,
Lotto has rolled over. It's 11 million now.
Lotto Madness continues on the 7th and 8th of September at Queen's Hall. So that's our next stop, which will be next weekend.
Oh, you take a weekend off?
The 7th and 8th of September at Queen's Hall. That's where we go next.
Good morning.
Good morning. 11 million? Oh, God, all you bring Gary on the program.
You know that the La Fantasy is right next to Queen's Hall, Richard? They could walk across,
Yeah. What I want to ask you all, did you all see or you all have ever seen a video where a guy did where he's showing you what it is at the back of Movie Town?
Yes.
This guy paved the road, and they said, based on what in the video the guy is saying, as far as he knew, he never got approval. He has a road running at the back of Movie Town going all the way down to where the boat is in Bigo. And I'm saying, what?
My understanding is that, that is not accurate.
No.
That land in the back there
has
been developed by the state.
Yeah, that is not. Yeah.
So then why the man? Well, then he could be sued. This guy saying, and he walking down and saying,
not only he could be sued, you could be sued for repeating it.
Yeah. But you know what I don't understand about people? There were ads in the papers last week about calling for invitations for land use, and they're showing you the land that has been developed.
Really?
Yes.
Well, when I see this thing, I shock. I say, no, you got to be kidding me. But the man do video and he walking, but he look like he's some naturalist. He talking about all the birds.
But I saw that tour of that man, but he never said it was a development of Mr. Chin. He indicated that the land was developed.
He said, and as far as he know, he never got a pro. Look, all your resume, yes? Just bring Gary on the phone number again.
Mischievousness abounds.
Yeah, no.
Mischievousness
that was done by, I think it might have been done by the same company that would have, but I'm not so sure which state company developed it.
Isn't it Udicott?
There were ads in the papers, maybe Udicott.
Yeah.
Because there were ads in the papers last week from Udicott asking for, was it Udicott? Asking for proposals for land use. What do you propose to use the land for? And for people to make recommendations for use of the land.
Yeah.
So it was a state-done thing. It was obviously a state-done thing because they had all the signage and stuff like that. If you're regular going down to Movie Town there, they would see the signage that the development was going on in the back there. So I don't understand why people would be confused.
Down there is so ripe for a theme park, eh?
Yeah.
I don't know why Trinidad and Tobago have a developed theme park in that area.
But if you want to go on that Ferris wheel, which is very expensive.
What do you mean by theme park, Double Palm?
Well, no, rides, roller coaster rides.
They have rides there too. I hear.
Not them park bench ride, all it does be going on. We're talking about that kind of ride.
Behave, fellas. Behave. Gentlemen, let's wrap it up for this Monday.
Double Palm is a theme park for some people.
Wrapping it up.
You all have a great week. It's Monday. Happy Independence, Trinidad. We can start saying it from now. We're going to be 62 years old as an independent nation for the most part.
We have a top card.
Except the Privy Council, but we on the way.
Yeah,
have a great weekend.
Yeah. Folks, have an absolutely wonderful day. Remember to let go and let God. Bye-bye.
All right, so thank you to all of the people who came out over the weekend at Central Bank Auditorium for a lot of madness. Of course, our next stop is at Queen's Hall on the 7th and 8th of September. And of course, I'll keep you posted. Yeah. All right. Keep it locked on. I think we have Dennise Demming up next for Power Conversations. Of course, Evie will be walking in shortly. And don't forget, you can come by the Pet Butler on Elscore Road, pick up all your pet supplies. No pets. We promote adoption and donation. If you lost a husky in the Ragoobarsingh area, I think there are 2 huskies that some folks found. One is one they'll be taking it to TSPCA this afternoon. Thank you so much, Sita and Sarah and so on for accommodating that husky. But you can check out TTSPCA if you lost your husky in the Ragoobarsingh area. All right. All right, then you can come by the Pet Butler, Elscore Road, and Mirage Street. Pet supplies, and you can play your lotto for $11 million as well. Let's get into our 8 o'clock news brief.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
It is time for 8 o'clock update. I'm Afril Sintel Bab. Good morning. The Prime Minister has defended the phased introduction of the new coat of arms, which would see Christopher Columbus' 3 ships replaced by the steel pan, as he slammed the Express editorial for comparing that decision to a $34 million life support scandal. In a post to his Facebook page, Dr. Rowley described the comparison made in the Sunday Express editorial as ridiculous. Dr. Rowley stated that it was clear that, as usual, some local media and narrators have difficulty isolating, highlighting, and criticizing blatant corruption and other shortcomings of the United National Congress without seeming to want to always attach the PNM to the unsavory practices on every occasion. Chairman of Trinbago Commercial Development Company Limited, or Movietown Complex, Derek Chin, says the action to repossess the Movietown Cineplex in Port of Spain was an act of thuggery that caused great embarrassment and loss of money. On Friday, landlord for the Port Authority, the Port of Spain Infrastructure Company Limited, or POSINCO, sent bailiffs who descended on Movietown at Invaders Bay to repossess the complex for what POSINCO said was $10 million in owed rent. They also served tenants letters stating that POSINCO had exercised its rights under their head lease to take possession of the premises and rents should be remitted to the company. He said it severely impacted business on Friday and Saturday. The shakeup continues at the Strategic Services Agency as a further 10 employees were sent on administrative leave last week. The employees were attached to the Operation Security Offset Unit. The unit was established under former SSA Director Major Roger Best and was in charge of installing CCTV cameras and providing cover for agents when on field assignments. The Offset Unit worked in conjunction with another unit established by Best, the Tactical Response Team, and was assembled between April and May 2023. And the design for the new headquarters for Pan Trinbago in Port of Spain has already been approved and will be built by Udicot. It is budgeted to cost $100 million. This was revealed by President of Pan Trinbago, Beverly Ramsey Moore, during the organization's annual Thanksgiving service at Pan Trinbago's current headquarters on Dundonald Street, Port of Spain, on Sunday. President Ramsey Moore said that it will be a 6-story structure and take the shape of a steel pan where a museum, performance hall, and rooftop dining will be features. Several businesses will also be sharing the space, and offices will be rented out to government in an effort to make the headquarters into a revenue generator. Well, that was the update to 8 o'clock. Look out for news in full at 12 noon.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
All righty, it is 4 minutes after the hour of 8 o'clock on this Monday, the 26th day of August, the last week of the month of August, as we head to our 62nd birthday, the country that is, Trinidad and Tobago. Let's say good morning, going out to Dennise Demming.
Hi, good morning. Thank you very much for having both Kyle and myself here this morning. And thank you very much to our audience. We're going to have a wonderful conversation this morning, but we need your support. Please call us on 222-TALK. That's 222-8255. If you're in the US or Canada, it's toll-free 866-525-1099. 1099. And if you want to WhatsApp us, it's 868-318-1021. And just before we logged on, there was this conversation about our 62nd anniversary of independence. And in my mind, I asked myself, where are we in terms of technology and our 62nd anniversary of independence? And with us this morning, we have a very successful young man, Kyle Maloney. Kyle, who are you? Tell us.
I'm just a regular guy from Trinidad who is passionate about how we can leverage technology and entrepreneurship to really catapult us within the region, catapult opportunity and really change what is possible if we really leaned into it enough. And so I've just become an advocate for having more people, more organizations, and the government really lean into the possibilities of how much of a catalytic effect technology can have across the board. Yeah.
Yes. And Kyle, that is so brilliant to hear, because our future is with people like you, not people like me, And if we don't get technology in a way that is acceptable, then your future will not be good. But before we go there, Kyle, tell us, how did you get to where you are?
Well, I went CIC, so grew up in Trinidad here, and so not too much different to many other people. And then I went to university. I did my undergrad in aerospace engineering. So that is not very similar to many people here. And I was in university. It was when Twitter and Facebook had launched, and it was now the new renaissance of that new technology era of social media. And hearing about these companies growing for the first time, I was really intrigued, my brother and I. And we started a website in school that would allow students to buy and sell items from each other. Because on campus, most university students would know you buy something one semester, you want to sell it next semester because you don't need it. And there isn't like a way to easily like connect with students who want to buy and sell. And so we created that platform. Right. And we made about $3,000 to $4,000 a month from it, from advertising. So that is what really put me in the mindset of, hey, how can I build a technology business that can scale and can really grow? So from there, I came back home after university, shut down that business. Didn't really have any vision of continuity in it. It was really more to learn how to build a business, and came back and started this company with my friends from secondary school, actually, and my brother, called First. And First was meant to be like Yelp for the Caribbean, right? You search any business, you see reviews, you see pictures, and then the idea was that you're able to order and buy things off of the platform. And with that vision, Digicel invested about $2 million US for 25% of that business. And that was a big deal. That was a huge deal. That was back in 2014. And that didn't work out. And when that didn't work out, I really connected with my co-founder now from Jamaica, and we began to work on what Tech Beach has become today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fantastic, Kyle. Tell me, what did you learn from your beginning at university? What did you learn from that?
That was the foundation of the learnings. I tell this story all the time about my dad, right? I was in university, and he was saying, boy, you there ready for a semester and you ain't start a business yet? And I'm like, Dad, like, let me graduate now, let me get a job, make some money, and then I'll start a business. And he was like, are you silly? This isn't about winning on your first company. It's about all of the learnings that you're gonna have to undergo to really to get to a final win. It's gonna take many iterations, and so the learnings was all about how to build a brand, how to acquire customers, how to get users, how to structure a company. All these things that you read in a book, but you don't know until you actually start doing. Yeah.
But that's a wonderful story about the role of your father. That he was the one who said to you, listen, start a business. And if we have people who are older listening to this, I hope that they're learning, and their takeaway is that they need to encourage their children or young persons in their lifestyle to say, start your own business. It's not just about being successful on the first occasion. And that seems to be what happened with you, that you began, then you tried something else with Digicel. That didn't work, or however. What did you learn from the Digicel experience, though?
A lot of different lessons, man. Yeah. That was my biggest win at that time, and still my biggest failure, for sure. And I always say that in my friend group, I am the biggest failure in my friend group. I don't think anybody lost as much money as I've lost. Yeah. And And so one of the big lessons in that is that the road on entrepreneurship and the road to success, you have to accept failure as a part of the process. Yeah. And sometimes that failure comes in big ways. And the big failure is when you get past it enough and up past the initial pain of it, is almost a badge of honor that you would have gotten to build something so grand that unfortunately you didn't figure out some of the interworkings of it for it to not work out over time. And it's cool. And you take those lessons from that to be able to create something else grand. And it was in the fibers of that the Tech Beach was created, which really, by all essences, feels like a global brand that is able to partner with some of the best global technology companies in the world, that they don't see us as like some Trinidad company, or some company from the Caribbean. Like we got written about a couple of weeks ago in Entrepreneur magazine, rating us as top 10 event in all of Latin America to participate in, so definitely the understanding to dream really big is definitely one of the big lessons coming out from that, and accepting failure as just a part of the process.
Mm-hmm. The first time I saw Tech Beach Retreat, I stooped and said, what is this? And I just moved on. But then when I checked with some of the young people in my life about Tech Beach Retreat, I realized that I was making a mistake. So tell me, how did you determine Tech and Beach Retreat as a brand?
Yeah. So I take no credit for this. My co-founder came to me with this idea. He said that he was in a conference in Switzerland and it was cold, and the Caribbean people came together in the conference or whatever. And he was like talking with them. He was like, guys, why are we here? Why don't we have this experience back home? Like why do we have to come here and suffer in this cold? We're not meant for this. Let's try and figure out bringing these people home to us. And you know how like people is band together with a good idea and saying, yeah. And then like nobody runs with it. So then he came back home and he was like, no, I am running with this. And he was like, we need to have a technology conference on the beach. And it needs to be a retreat style that people come there for a few days to really dig in, build bonds, and really like build relationships that go beyond your transactional type relationships that you typically happen when you go to a regular conference in like a big city, right? It's tend to be like, hey, who you are? Here's my business card. Here's your business card. All right, great. Maybe we'll talk again in life sometime. Good to meet you. But at Tech Beach is quite the opposite. You were there for 3 days at an all-inclusive resort on the backdrop of the Caribbean sounds, waves, vibes, energy, and the depth of bonds that are created feel like you would have known people for years, when in truth and in fact it was only 3 days, and this is not my feedback. This is the feedback of people that have come and have come repeatedly, and I am blown away by this hypothesis becoming a true reality.
That's fantastic. So, and I think it makes so much sense, because when Caribbean people go to North America or they go to Europe and it's freezing, you stoop sing and say, oh God, why am I here? This is because you're not accustomed to the cold, and to have Tech Beach Retreat as something in our region really takes the Caribbean beyond being a tourism place to a place where there's an intellectual capacity. So tell me, what is your approach to Tech Beach? Do you change it every year? What is it?
We don't change it every year. The core premise of Tech Beach is technology, and so that's the core conversations that we have. And people tend to think like, oh, I'm not in tech, I'm not a techie, so why I should be there, I could be there. And the reason why we centered on technology is because technology is something that's so cross-cutting that everybody is trying to figure out how they leverage technology in in every aspect of their business. Whether you're in sales, you're in marketing, you're in research, you're in some kind of science, you're a writer, like whoever you are, you're trying to figure out how and where do I fit in this new technological landscape, you know? And so that's the core premise and theme every year. And then what tends to happen is that we look around and say, what is trending in conversation each year, right? So one year it would have been Bitcoin and blockchain, and another year, this year, our theme of conversation is around AI, you know? We had theme and conversation around the metaverse and what was going on there, you know? And so what we tend to do is, even though the core conversation is around technology, and many of our conversations, quite frankly, repeat year after year, we take slight angles on some of the thematic areas that we go down based on what is the talk of the town in that year. And this year is all about AI.
What are your thoughts about the Caribbean and technology? Some people think we're about 20 years behind. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I don't think we're 20 years behind by any means, right? I think and behind is a relative comparison, right? Behind who, right? I think for a lot of the emerging markets around the world that are like 100 times our size, you think of like a Brazil or Nigeria. I don't think we're 20 years behind by any means, right? I think we face a lot of these similar challenges that they do. They just at such a more vast scale. And what that real core challenge is that you have at the helm of most organizations and government a generation that has a significant disconnect with what has happened and changed over the last 20 to 30 years. And when you don't have that level of internal core competence around something, there is a general fear of making the wrong decisions and not understanding that it is an iterative process. And that generation doesn't come from a generation of iteration, like fail and fix, fail and fix, fail and fix and go. It's been more of I study this is what I know, and I have to always get it right, you know? And that's currently where we are. And it's not just here within Trinidad even within the Caribbean that we feel is really unique to us. It's just that we're just not moving as quickly as we should in realizing that the opportunity and trying to genuinely capitalize on that. I think that shift is still to happen compared to what we're seeing in other markets where the shift has occurred, and they're beginning to try to catch up with the North America, the certain places in Asia sort of thing. But yeah, I'm hopeful, and I keep beating this drum. Now I'm on this drum for the last decade, and it's gonna be my drum for the next decade, you know, until we get to a place where we can be excited about, you know.
Kind of love your diplomacy, because you've just described it in such a wonderful way. But the reality is that we are behind the reality. So, for example, a simple thing as a bank account.
What did you say?
A simple thing as a bank account.
A bank account, okay, yeah.
You know, if you have to open a bank account, if you have to do that, it just is so difficult in Trinidad and in the Caribbean versus if you do that abroad. So the question I'm really asking is, where do you see us going in terms of the use of technology and making life easier for our people?
Yeah, man. We have fine. We have a bit of ways to go, right? Across the board in so many respects. You mentioned banking and finance. We just have like such a impediment to progress in that way for whatever reason, to make things so much smoother is unfortunate. on their end, they would tell you that they've made progress, but they know to themselves as well that there's so much more that could be done in terms of like logistics, like, and movement of people and stuff, like where you see the Ubers of the world, you land any country, you get to move easily. In Trinidad, we have one major one TT rideshare, and then there's another one called Already, but none of them are at like genuine true scale yet, you know, and food delivery in that way. And you know, so some of the basic foundational technologies, these aren't some kind of advanced anything. These are like really just making basic life more simple or easy, more efficient. We're not there yet. And one of the big reasons why we're not there yet is not for the fault of these entrepreneurs. It is really for the fault of what we call a lack of enabling environment to see these companies and these technologies grow to scale, right? And most people don't think about that because they're not like aware of like what that is. They just see like they land in a country, they could use Uber, or now you could use Facebook, or now you could use Airbnb or whatever. But like, how do these things even come to pass? Right? How do they get to this level of scale? And they get to this level of scale because they have within the US in particular, the US is the best at it by far, this environment where there is investors, there is talent that is really upskilled, there is support from government and from large corporates to really drive this technology adoption and growth, so that they see the fruits of that kind of labor, where there is innovation happening in almost every crevice of society.
Yeah, and we're not seeing that. I am very hopeful, and I'm glad to hear a young person like you saying that you are hopeful, because our country, for instance, during COVID, we had to do a lot of technology things in order to just survive. But what I think is that COVID has gone and we've gone back, as opposed to holding some of the things we did online. For instance, just working online. We did it during COVID. Now, a lot of it we're going back to, you have to come to the office and so on. So I think we just need to, you're quite right when you talk about the enabling environment and what we need to do in terms of that enabling environment. But I just want to go back a little bit and ask you about some of the challenges you faced when you launched Tech Beach Retreat.
Yeah, man. Some of the challenges, still facing them today. The reality is that there's just like a sluggishness to driving this narrative and these companies and this progress that we don't see yet a really large influx of these large companies and government really getting behind and driving this and making like bold statements and fulfilling behind them. Like we hear about things a lot of the times, but we don't see the fulfillment, you know. And what we tend to do at TVR really is find in organizations just the little groups, the little small one or two few different people that really get it or want to get it, and we form that community at our events, you know. So that challenge is really that not enough people really get it and really want to invest the time in figuring it out if they don't get it, you know. I think that's quite frankly the biggest challenge, because if more people did, I think we'd move a lot more quickly, you know. And so we're constantly fighting our uphill battle, albeit making progress. Otherwise, we wouldn't be around today. But it's that is the biggest hurdle. The biggest hurdle is the lack of belief that I feel exists within people, and the lack of vision for what is possible. Yeah, man.
And I really feel what you say. You didn't just say it, you said it with a kind of passion, a kind of emotion. And you know, I really try to think of how do we get our people to have a different vision of our country? And how do we get them to participate? One of the things you said is they often say yes, but they don't fulfill what they promised.
Exactly.
And we have to find a way to get them to do that. So are there any other challenges that you think you encountered when you first started? What do you call it? What you call you used some synonyms.
TBR.
TBR.
Tech Beach Retreat TBR. Yeah.
I know. It takes a little while to understand that. Okay, we moved from Tech Beach Retreat to TBR. Which is
Yeah, exactly. We moved to this as well because as the company grew, we grew beyond just the retreats, just the events. And so what we have and our logos with our logo symbolizes the three pillars of our organization, and events is just a single pillar. We have the next pillar of education, and then the final pillar of investment. And so what we've become over the last few years as well is a education in the startup technology world. They're called accelerator programs. It's a fancy word for education programs designed for founders of technology and tech-enabled companies, right? And what these programs look like, they're generally like 8-12-week programs that really sit down with founders to say, how do you market, how do you scale, how do you raise capital, how do you deal with investors, how do you? And so we cover a gamut of different coursework to really help them learn the different pieces of the business to really help them grow and scale. And then as well, have them be part of this community, because that's really important, is the shared learning. So it's not only just the 8-12 weeks time, it's about the community and the shared learnings between each other of, well, I figured this out, and here's this book, or here's this connect, and here's this other relationship, to really help them grow and scale. And then the final piece for us, so I said events, education, and the final piece being investment. And so what we're working on is being able to write checks and invest in these companies to really see them grow and scale. And so we've evolved from Tech Beach Retreat to TBR in our naming and in our lexicon every day, because the retreats don't actively reflect like all of who we are.
Yeah. Tell me a little about the education, because you're talking about a 10 to 12 week program. How is that thematic approach aligned to our education systems?
Yeah. So I think aligned to our education systems. I think it's kind of not aligned to our education systems, unfortunately. Our education systems are a legacy structure that is really difficult to maneuver, and really kind of goes back to the point I was saying of we're not accustomed to iterating and move and making progress. We're accustomed to like, this is the system, this is it, it's set, and that's it, And so unfortunately, that sort of structure and approach really stymies our progress in our education system, because the reality is that our world now is changing faster than ever before. And the things that you would have learned even last year, there's like so much advancement that would have occurred within a year. And these companies really take pride in having these year-on-year progress kind of things. And so when you have a curriculum that's really built on something that's years ago, like you're not equipping people, you're not equipping the students, the kids, for what the reality of where we are going tomorrow. And so our curriculum within our programs really are structured around the agile nature of how the landscape constantly evolves. They're led by experts who are in field doing this thing every day, and having to really like adapt their coursework and curriculum to the realities of how customers are acquired on digital marketing, how people are raising capital differently, like everything that's happening day to day. They're taking it and distilling it and putting it into practical examples within our programming. And so how is it similar? It really isn't. It's really very dissimilar to what we have currently.
And if there was a miracle in life and you could transform things, what would you do?
Man, I would lean so hard into digital and technology education. I think we really underestimate how transformative it can be for us as a society. Whereby if people really understood that the world is your oyster and there is abundant opportunity across the planet for you to be able to generate income, that is absolutely transformative. Like, you're no longer thinking that I want to get up and work for a fill in the blank big company in this country. I want to work for whoever. And then as well, so people will be like, oh, well, then who's going to actually do the work here? Right. So I think it really shifts as well the landscape for businesses, where businesses can realize, like, I can have more of a somewhat global workforce, even though I am just a company here in Trinidad, right? And then there are some things that don't translate. And so there's that segment of customer service, in-person people that won't translate. And so fine. Like, it's not a silver bullet that fixes everything, but it really transforms a lot of things. And the opportunity to make significant amount more money, the opportunity to do so much more global work, man, I would really lean into the vast array of technology skills. Our country looks so different in such a short space of time, and would be on an entirely different trajectory.
That is absolutely wonderful. So you're saying we need to lean into the use of technology and ensuring that the environment is such that it facilitates the use of technology. Is that what I'm hearing?
And not just the use, the skills, the learning skills. Like, when I talk about skills, I speak practically. Like obviously the coding and design is like the obvious ones, right? But not everybody want to be a developer. No, everybody want to be a designer. And so it is in you're studying marketing. It is in your marketing, you're understanding how really is digital marketing, because that is where we're at, how like in every aspect of your coursework, it's redesigning it to leverage technology at the center of that, versus, well, I'm doing a digital course, like I'm doing all these things and then it's on the side. It needs to be reintegrated at the center of everything, and so, yeah.
When you look at the future, what trends do you see happening that we as a country should engage in?
Well, I mean, biggest trend right now, obviously, is leveraging AI. I think we're at a really interesting crossroad in our history where a super advanced technology like this, only a tiny segment of the world really is at the forefront. And so we have an opportunity, if we act quickly enough, that we can really catapult ourselves, because nobody actually knows. Nobody's the de facto leaders yet, right? Like, just a tiny fraction of global economic society really is there. Like, you always talk about like the US and China, etc., but then there's like 190 some countries around the world, and everybody fits in a certain way. And so we can really transform like what we look like, where our opportunities have come from, where our core revenue and as a society really is, if we lean heavily into understanding how we can really leverage artificial intelligence for, oh my God, like so many different aspects of life, and value creation. But once again, we just have a culture of like, well, let them figure it out and then we go do it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the reality, especially in this one, is that if we thought going digital was like a big thing and we're behind, the rate of progress with AI is 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times. And so if you're catching up there, it's gonna be so frustrating, man. Like, sitting back like, I've been saying this.
You've been saying this. And as I
Yes.
said, if there was a miracle, what's the first thing you would do to begin the transformation?
Yeah, the first thing is education.
Yeah.
Like drop everything else, double down on education, and education at all levels, right? Like in this country, Estonia, they're like one of the most digitally advanced societies in the world. Like they say, like you could do everything online in Estonia, right? Except for like maybe like two things or something. I think like you can't get married, you have to do it in person, or like right, like something like that, right? That they say. And what did they do to get their society at every level on this? And it's not just like, oh well, education in schools, because that's how people think, right? Like education mean like how to go to school, but no, like it's education at all levels in even the smallest forms, right? Like little workshops, right? Just like being aggressive on like what are the big structural educational changes, and then what are the little workshops, the little things, the 2-week courses that can be catalytic for persons to really unlock their minds and understand like, whoa, this isn't as difficult as I thought it was. And they did that for every segment of society, right? So you have on the fringe segments of society, who would be the least technology savvy would be more of the elderly people. They had courses for the elderly people to be able to learn to understand how to do banking online, how to do all of these transactions and these things online. And so now you have a digitally more progressive and savvy society that really isn't stuck on the old ways of doing things. And so if we really were to go hard on that kind of level of education at every form, and then as well in conjunction with that, a digitization agenda of like, all right, like everything needs to be, you need to be able to access everything through your devices, like really simply and efficiently, like these devices are like astronomically capable, those two hand in hand, oof, man, we will be creating creators. Like people will be doing crazy things that you'd have never thought of, like, and that's what we're equipping people to do when you give them that level of education. Yeah, if I were to snap my finger, those two, like, I would wake up and I'd be like, whoa, where is this place I'm living? What is going on? Who created that? How, when, where, what? Yeah.
Yeah, I do love what you've described, because it's not education in terms of the traditional sense of in school or at university. It is education for everyone. We pointed out education for older people who would need to understand what they can do. Our population is trending towards an older population. How could we use that older population to help with our advancement?
Yeah. I think we underestimate how people want to be in and that's it. Interestingly enough, this statistic around Facebook growth over Facebook's like latter decade has been within a much older segment, and quite frankly, there is the belief that Facebook is quote unquote for old people right now, right? And why is that the case? That is the case because there is a desire as well for even the older generation to be in the now of what is going on now. Like people want to understand, they want to connect with their friends, they want to know what's going on, they want to do things. And so I think when people try to chalk it up to say, well, oh, I'm too old, the reality is that I bet you on Facebook, I bet you're sending WhatsApp, I bet you're doing all these things that is fun and social and precocious. And so, yes, you can do other things as well that are really productive, that can really help drive progress within our society, in a really transformational way. If you stop the mindset of that you need to go any bank for something, but I need to go any bank and get any lines, like learn how to use the app. And we have workshops around you learning how to use the app that say the interface is very similar to other things that you would have been using before. Like you know how to use your WhatsApp, you know how to comment on things on Facebook and so creating the interfaces that feel very similar and creating these mini little workshops to help people to really leverage the efficiencies that can come through using technology. No, it'll be transformational in that way. And that's the angle. That's one of the angles that I see.
And I think that that's a brilliant angle, because between older people and younger people, because older people use the technology, as you just said. They're on Facebook, they're on WhatsApp, they're even on TikTok. A lot of people. So it's not that they don't know the technology. It is a similar situation of the entire society needs to be educated differently about AI and how we could use AI. I just want to transform the conversation a little more. Kyle, how have you balanced your personal life with your technical competence and your success?
For me, I don't have a job, right? And so most people have jobs, right? And what I describe as a job is this thing that you do to make money that is very separate and apart from your life. That is your 9 to 5, and then you switch off and then you go live your life, right? And you look forward all the time to living your life because you have this thing that, had it not been for the fact that it pays you, you wouldn't really want to do. And a lot of people have that, right? For me, I've been blessed to be able to feel like the work that I do is walking in my own purpose. And so I don't feel like I have a job. I feel like I wake up every day, and this is entirely who I am and a part of me in its entirety. And so for good or for bad, in this phase of my life, there isn't too much of a separation between my personal and my work. And I know that will evolve, and I will need to evolve for sure as my personal life evolves, where you get married and you have kids, and so you need to really create more lines of separation between the work and the family. But for young people that are listening, I think it's really important for that phase of your life where you're unhinged, unattached, and it's just you against the world in this way. Really get behind something that you can feel really passionate about, that you can feel that is going to transform the world in some way, and go hard, because those years will never return. And those are some of your best years, that you can spend so much more time thinking deeply, building relationships in different ways, and really be catalytic and transformative for the rest of your life, and that's what I would tell every student in secondary school, and then everyone in university. Like, that's the way that I think you should think about your life, so that you can create something that is truly meaningful to you, that you're not trying to run away from or get a vacation from all the time, and so that's where I'm currently at,
I'm hearing that you're currently at living your life and trying to deliver in different areas, but to ensure that you are happy and comfortable doing what you're doing. Is that an interpretation?
Yeah, no, I think that's a fair interpretation for sure. Agreed.
Yeah. So what do you suggest to people who they're spending 2 hours to get to work for 8 o'clock, then they're leaving at 4 and they're spending another 2 hours to get home? How do they balance their income generating activity with having a life that is meaningful and delivers wonderful objectives? What do we do?
Yeah.
And you're scratching your head. I take that as, oh my goodness.
Maybe, but no, I think that too many people see getting the job as a destination versus seeing getting the job as a stepping stone in an overall journey, right? And so if we saw getting this role, this thing that we want to get, as as just a piece of learning in our overall progress, then we will see everything that we're doing in that role as a stepping stone to get to the next thing that we're trying to get to. You know, many times we would, especially in my parents' generation, they get the job and then they stay in it for like 20 years, 30 years, you know. But thankfully in my generation, and then in the millennials and then the Gen X, Gen Zs, they really do see these roles that they're in. They're saying, now I'm in the car for 2 hours and they're like, I can't do this for the rest of my life. This needs to be something to something else, you know. And on average, that generation is gonna like have 10 to 20 jobs in their lifetime, or maybe more, you know, because they prioritize their center of happiness and a bit of their own wanting to find purpose and meaning in their life as priority over steady, stable longevity, right? Because steady, stable longevity actually no longer exists, right? That so much change is happening. The large companies that you thought were steady, stable are cutting people, changing things all the time, pulling the rug from under people. That now people are coming to terms with the fact that that's just no longer reality, and you need to be able to be adaptable, be ready for the change that can come at any moment. And quite frankly, you need to make the jumps before the jumps jump you.
Lovely. You make the jumps before the jumps jump you. I'll be coaching you on that once, and then I will say I'm the original of that. Let's just talk a little more about digital transformation in Trinidad and Tobago. And if you had a scale of 1 to 10, where would you rate our country's digital transformation?
Like a tree.
Okay. I mean, at least you rate it. So we know we have to go, you know, but
say again. I didn't hear. It kind of broke up.
I said, if you can explain, you rated us at a 3. If you can explain that to us, what is your thinking?
I rated a Trinidadian 3, right? So what I mean by that is, in Trinidad we say the number 3, like tree, but
yeah.
And so I akin it to that we planted. It have a little roots in there, you know, but the tree not moving. It kind of just there, you know. And so what I need us to be more like is a vine, not a tree, like a vine, you know. The vine is everywhere and pervasive and moving, but it's more like a tree that planted, that just there, you know. So I think we need to evolve more into more of a vine, yeah, if we stay within that kind of analogy.
Well, there are people who might respond to your analogy. You know, if you plant a tree in the Caribbean or in a tropical island and you plant it in good soil, it will eventually become a really fabulous tree, and you will get the mangoes or you'll get the avocados.
I know why we're breaking up all of a sudden, boy. It was real good for the first 45.
As opposed to planting the vine and you'll get the pump. Yeah. Kyle, it's the reality of our technology that it does not work. You know, and sometimes you have me going down another road, because sometimes I'm doing a lot of work online.
Wow, boy.
You know, what areas do you think we need the most improvement in terms of digitalization?
I just go back to the fundamentals. The fundamentals is education. I think we need the biggest work there, because it is the root of everything. Everything stems from education, and so there is not nearly enough work that is being done in helping to drive a digital education agenda. And so everything else will be stymied. Everything else will be really slow, you know. That's the biggest thing. Like underscore, double down, exclamation point, highlight, bold, like everything. Like this needs to be the driver, because we can't connect the dots looking forward. I just know it'll be catalytic.
Kyle? Yes, I've been using technology and AI. And twice you mentioned your father and you mentioned your parents. What would you suggest can run?
You broke up there. Twice I mentioned my dad.
Yes, and you also mentioned your parents. You've been very complimentary to them.
For sure.
And I'm just, asking. What would you bring up? We're back.
I feel like I need to reset this. This.
Now we just have a few more minutes. Let's hope. If you think resetting, I don't know, Kyle. I don't know what to do.
Yeah. I could. Because it was real good for the first 45.
Yes. And then it just started to. So what are we doing? All right. You see, you've gone down the technology route. So here's what I would like us to do. I'd like you to just tell us what are the key messages that you'd like to leave as.
All right. What are the key messages that you'd like me to leave? I only got up to there.
Yeah.
So
what are the key messages? Well, I started off before all the technology issue asking you to tell me something about that you learned from your parents that you can suggest to your generation.
Oh yeah, man. My dad was the entrepreneur in our family. He passed away just 3 years ago. And he was the one that really instilled in us to dream really big, and to believe that if, like, why not you? Yeah. A lot of the times we have this belief that somebody else will do it, somebody else could do it, somebody else better equipped, somebody else smarter, somebody else have it, somebody else. And you keep just going down that road, and so there's not an accountability and ownership of anything because it's somebody else's responsibility. And so I think that why not you ownership of solving problems, and the next one of dreaming really big, really was the core tenets of some of the beliefs that were passed to me from my dad. My mom has always been the spiritual center of the family, really reminding us that we're part of a bigger whole, and in all things give thanks to God for everything that we have, and having that as our, having God at the center of everything, and so I think the combination of these two core principles, I think, will unlock so much for the youth if they could believe that they could do anything, and they dreamt really big, and keeping God at the center, I think, would be absolutely transformational for so many youth. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would love for you to just reflect on your success, and what are two messages, or what message would you like to leave with our audience?
I leave the message of of, as a society, I think we have such a really negative view on how to make progress, not accepting that failure is part of the process. And so I think if we saw that failure being a necessary evil to get to where we're trying to go, and I'm not talking about the failure there's two types of failure. There's failure in the sense of people just not learning, and we've been through this lesson many times before and you just keep failing at it. Not that kind of failure. The kind of failure where people are genuinely trying and they've tried to do something really different, really innovative, and it didn't work out. That's a different kind of failure. That's a failure as a result of really trying to be transformational, and so that's the kind that needs to be more embraced. And so people can be more creative. And that would open up so much more desire to be innovative in approaches, and we'd move a lot more quickly as a society. And so that is one big thing that I think a message that I keep wanting to drill down and hammer down on. And the next one, I'm dreaming really big. And so you can't really achieve anything meaningful in this life unless you have first can dream that it is possible, and then the desire to achieve those dreams, accepting that along the way you don't know, and so you're gonna not do things well until you're able to finally get things done well. Those are some of the core principles that really are the underpinnings of my life to get to where I am, and in reality feel like I'm nowhere near where I really want to be still, so we keep pushing.
Ever so much. And I bring the show to an end. I want to say thank you for all that you've shared with us and congratulate you, because what you're demonstrating is that if you're positive and you work hard and you accept your reality, you can be successful. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Legislation sets the tone for how we treat each other as a society. It provides those boundaries and the expectations, and it also upholds the rights of all of the citizens.
Legislation is important for everyone in society, as it sets rules and regulations that create an organized, safe, and fair environment in which everyone is equal.
They form the opinion that because you have a disability, that you are somehow unintelligent, stupid, ridiculously asinine, you name it. So legislation is quite important, and I hope that legislation is soon coming so that people with disabilities can be who they are. People first, disabilities after.